Tonight, you will step into the unforgiving streets of ancient Rome, where survival is everything and fate can change in an instant. Close your eyes slowly. Take a deep breath in and release it gently. The year is 80 AD. You are just a common person living in the harsh world of Rome. The empire is vast and its power is unstoppable, but for you, the streets are filled with only one thing: struggle. Feel the weight of poverty, the pressure of the crowded streets, the distant sounds of merchants shouting and soldiers marching. Your future is uncertain, and you have no idea that soon you will be taken far from this life. Let your mind drift. The life you know is about to be shattered. The call of the arena is near, and your journey into the heart of Rome's blood-stained history begins now. The sun beats down on you as you walk through the dirt-covered streets of Rome. You're just one of many, a nameless face in a crowd of millions. The empire stretches on, powerful and unyielding, but for someone like you, an ordinary citizen, life feels like a constant struggle to survive. The wealth and power of the empire seem as distant as the farthest reaches of the known world. Rome, the heart of civilization, or so they say. To you, it's nothing more than a sprawling, chaotic city where the cries of beggars mix with the clink of gold coins in the hands of the rich. The patricians sip their wine in luxury while you scrape by, just another cog in the system. But here, in the shadow of the Colosseum, the story of the empire is written in blood. The gladiators. Can you imagine it? To fight not for a cause, not for freedom, but simply because your life has been bought and sold like a piece of meat. To become a tool for entertainment, a puppet dancing on the strings of those who hold the power. This is where you are headed. You pass through the narrow alleys and marketplaces where the smell of roasted meat mingles with the stench of the sewage that runs in the streets. The rich and poor are separated by a thin veil. Power, politics, and privilege that seem to determine everything. They own land, they own people, and they own your life. This is the world that forged you. Rome, a city that thrives on bloodshed and spectacle. You, a product of its cruel machine, are being shaped for a future that will be decided by others. The Ludus, the gladiator training schools. It sounds like something from a legend, doesn't it? But legends are just stories made of blood and sweat. Stories of men and women fighting for their lives. In truth, the Ludus is more like a prison. The training grounds are brutal. Every day is a fight for survival, a test of strength, courage, and sheer willpower. You think you're tough now? Wait until you meet the real gladiators. These men and women, they're survivors. They've been forged by fire, tempered by fear, and hardened by the violence that surrounds them. Do you think you're ready? You might have fought on the streets, you might think you know what it's like to be a warrior, but the truth is, until you step into that arena, where every moment could be your last, you'll never truly understand what survival means. The cold reality is this: no one enters the Ludus by choice. No one. Whether you are a criminal, a slave, or a poor soul who's been captured in a raid, the outcome is the same. You are a gladiator now, whether you like it or not. As you take your first step toward that fate, you can feel the weight of it pressing down on you. The heavy doors of the Ludus will soon close behind you. From that moment on, you'll be trained, conditioned, and molded into a weapon. You will fight not for glory or honor, but for your life. And if you survive long enough, perhaps you will earn a name, a reputation, or even freedom. But make no mistake, freedom is a luxury few ever taste. Rome's political elite, the senators, the emperor, they don't care about you. They don't care that you are a man or a woman, or what dreams you had before you were thrown into this brutal world. To them, you're simply a tool for the public's entertainment, a mere pawn in the great game of power. But for now, you have a choice. You can either succumb to the brutality of the Ludus, or you can fight with everything you have, try to survive, and carve out a place for yourself in a world that's built on blood and violence. The question is, will you rise or will you fall? But as the heavy doors of the Ludus close behind you, there's no turning back, and the world you knew vanishes as quickly as it came. You didn't ask for this. No one ever does. The world didn't care about your dreams, your ambitions, or your desires. One moment, you were just another face in the crowd, trying to survive in a city that eats its own. And the next, you were shackled, dragged into a life you never wanted, a life shaped by others. How did it happen? Was it your skill, or just pure bad luck? Maybe you caught the eye of a powerful man. Maybe your fight in the street, your survival instincts, impressed someone. Maybe you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But now, none of that matters. You are a gladiator. You can feel the iron of the chains biting into your wrists as you're led through the narrow streets. The clang of metal against metal echoes in the silence of the night, a harsh reminder of where you're headed, to the ludus, to the life of a gladiator. A choice? There's no choice here. Not really. It's not about whether you want to fight. It's not about glory. It's about survival. And now, survival means doing what they say. They've taken everything from you, your freedom, your dignity, your future, and now you're theirs. How does it feel to lose your freedom? To realize that your life is no longer your own? Does it sting? Can you taste the bitterness of it on your tongue, like the dust that clings to the back of your throat as you walk the streets? You can already feel the weight of the ludus bearing down on you, the cold stone walls, the endless drills, the endless days of sweat and blood. And for what? For a crowd's fleeting entertainment? For the chance to die young and be remembered for only a few moments, if you're lucky? The idea of it all is sickening. You were never meant to be here. Wasn't your life supposed to mean something more? Didn't you deserve more than this? More than being sold like a slave? More than being nothing more than a spectacle for the bored Roman elite? But what choice did you have? You can hear the laughter of the Roman citizens, the chatter of those who will come to watch you fight, to watch you die. You weren't born to be a gladiator. You were born to live, just like everyone else. But fate had other plans. And when your life is decided by others, what can you do but follow? The ludus is a place where hope dies but survival thrives. You will be moulded, trained and broken down. Day by day you will shed the remnants of who you once were. The man or woman you thought you were will soon be gone, replaced by something else, something sharper, more dangerous, more like a weapon than a person. This is where the empire creates its champions, not through choice, but through necessity. The days of your freedom are gone, but there's one thing you can still hold on to, your will to survive, for now. In a place where survival is the only currency, training begins, not as a means to glory, but a test of endurance and strength that will determine whether you live another day. The door slams shut behind you with a finality that echoes in your bones. This is it. No turning back now. You stand in the heart of the ludus, the gladiator training school, and take in the grim surroundings. The stone walls rise high, cold and unyielding. The air smells of sweat, blood, and something sharper, something metallic. It's the scent of survival, or death. You've heard the stories. You've heard the whispers of those who came before you, and now you're here, just another soul bound to the endless cycle of brutality. Your new reality? You're just a weapon, a tool, and tools are made through pain. Welcome to your new life, a voice growls from the shadows. You turn to see him, a figure clad in dark leather, his face hard like stone. The trainer, your new god. The man's eyes bore into you, cold and calculating. This is not a place for mercy. The ludus is a place for survival, where only the strong are given a chance to leave and the weak are discarded like old rags. He steps forward, his boots scraping against the ground with an eerie sound. You think this is a game? His voice is rough, like gravel grinding together, making your skin crawl. You think you're here to learn some fancy moves or earn some gold? The trainer pauses for a moment, letting the silence stretch between you like a rope pulled too tight. You're here to fight, to bleed, to die, if that's what it takes. He spits on the floor, and you can feel the weight of his words settle in your chest. There is no kindness in this place, no hope, only the cold, relentless grind of training, day after day. The first blow comes without warning, a strike to the stomach that knocks the breath out of you. Welcome to the ludus. Your body crumples, your knees hitting the cold stone floor. For a moment, you can't move. You just lie there gasping for air, your mind struggling to catch up with what just happened. The pain is sharp, sudden, unforgiving. Get up. The trainer's voice is a command, not a suggestion. You're here to learn how to survive, not to lie down and cry. You push yourself to your feet, hands trembling, your vision blurry from the impact. How the hell are you supposed to survive this? The trainer is a monster, and the men around you, your fellow gladiators, are just as brutal, just as ready to tear you apart. The ludus isn't a school, it's a crucible. The weak get burned away, and only the strong emerge, scarred, but alive. The hours stretch on in a blur of pain, sweat, and endless repetition. The trainer forces you to spar with others, pushing you beyond your limits, each move designed to break you down and build you up again. Stronger, harder, more dangerous. Or else, you can feel your muscles screaming in protest. Every move aches. Every step is a struggle. Is this really what you signed up for? But there's no choice now. You either fight or you die. There's no room for hesitation, no room for mercy. The day stretches into night, but it feels like one endless, suffocating moment, and all you can think is, how did it come to this? You weren't born for this. You weren't born to fight for the amusement of others. You were born to live, to be free, but those dreams are long gone, crushed under the weight of this hellish existence. And the worst part, you know this is just the beginning. With each passing day, the pain becomes familiar, and yet the question never leaves. How much longer can you endure? The days blur together, one indistinguishable from the next. The only constants are the sweat on your brow and the blood staining your hands. Training in the ludus isn't just about learning how to fight. It's about breaking you down, shaping you, molding you into something they can use. They don't care about your past, your name, or your dreams. All they care about is your ability to kill. You wake each morning to the sound of the trainer's harsh bark echoing through the barracks. The room is cramped, filled with the stench of bodies and the heat of bodies that have long since stopped being human. The other gladiators move like automatons, each of them carrying the scars of past battles, their eyes dead, hollow, as if they've already seen too much. You've heard the whispers. Some of these men were once soldiers, warriors with honor and skill. Others, slaves, criminals, or just unlucky souls caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. But here, everyone is the same. Everyone is expendable. The moment the training begins, it's as if the world has been reduced to a single, brutal task: survive. The trainer cracks his whip, and the sound of it slicing through the air sends a chill down your spine. His orders are sharp and relentless, a blur of punches, kicks, and sword strikes. Faster, stronger, harder. The words blur together in your ears, but the pain is clear. Every muscle aches. Every movement is a struggle. Your body burns with exhaustion, but you push through because if you don't, it's not just failure you face, it's death. You lock eyes with your fellow gladiators during these grueling hours. Some of them are older, their faces etched with years of violence, their bodies thick with muscle and scars. They've been here longer, learned the hard way. Others are like you, new, raw, still clinging to the vestiges of a life outside these walls. But one thing is certain, you're all fighting the same fight. The fight for survival. You're forced to spar with them day after day until the line between friend and enemy blurs. There's no room for weakness here, no time for mercy. You fight because you have to. You fight because if you don't, someone else will. Your first sparring match is with a man who looks like he's been in the ludus for years. His eyes are cold and his movements are precise, deadly. When his sword slashes across your chest, it's not just a physical wound. It's a reminder that in the arena, The only thing that matters is your ability to take a life or lose your own. The blood spills onto the dirt floor. Your blood. His blood. Everyone's blood. You can feel it seeping into your skin, becoming a part of you, just like the sweat that pours down your face, mixing with the dirt and grime. You can't tell where the sweat ends and the blood begins. Get up, the trainer growls. You're not dead yet. And you get up. You have no choice. Because in the ludus, you're either alive or you're forgotten. The pain becomes your constant companion. At first, it's unbearable. The bruises, the cuts, the aching muscles that never seem to rest. But eventually you grow used to it. You learn to fight through the pain, to ignore the exhaustion. You have to, because the moment you stop living, and with every passing day you begin to notice something else, an unspoken bond forming between you and the others. You are no longer just fellow prisoners. You are comrades in this brutal existence. You begin to trust them, to rely on them, in ways you never thought you would. There's a strange camaraderie in the ludus, a shared understanding that if you don't fight for each other, no one will. In this hellish crucible, you realize that survival is not just about strength. It's about unity. The gladiators who fall are the ones who try to go it alone. But even with this bond, there's a part of you that wonders, how long can I last? Every day you push yourself further, but in the back of your mind you know that the arena is always waiting. The Colosseum, that monstrous monument to death, looms on the horizon. And the thought of stepping into that pit to face the roar of the crowd and the certainty of violence fills you with dread. But you have no choice. It's coming, and when the time comes, you'll be ready, or at least you'll try to be. When the weight of the armor is finally upon you, you can't shake the thought, is this what I've fought for, or is this just another chain holding me down? The clang of metal fills the air as you step into the armory. Your heart pounds in your chest, a mix of fear and anticipation. You've trained, you've bled, and now it's time for the moment you've been dreading. The arena. The armory is a grim place, filled with weapons that have tasted the blood of countless men. Swords, shields, spears, all waiting for their next victim. And now, that victim is you. You're handed your first set of armor, a breastplate that feels too heavy, greaves that pinch at your ankles, and a helmet that limits your vision. The metal is cold, unforgiving, and you realize it's not just the weight of the armor you'll carry, it's the weight of your fate. Is this really happening? You stand in front of a polished metal mirror, seeing yourself for the first time. You don't recognize the person staring back at you. The once young, hopeful soul who was dragged into the ludus is now an instrument of death, ready to face the crowd's roar. The realization hits you. You're not a gladiator by choice. You're a gladiator because the Empire needs you. They need someone to die for their amusement, to spill blood in the name of entertainment. You tighten the straps on your armor, each click a reminder of the life you've lost. Every piece of armor you wear doesn't just protect you, it traps you in a role you never asked for. The trainer watches you, his eyes cold and calculating. You ready? He asks, as if it's a casual question. But you know the answer. You're not ready. How can you be? You've trained for weeks, but nothing can truly prepare you for the violence and chaos of the arena. Can anyone ever truly be ready? A part of you wants to run, to tear the armor off and flee, but you know that's not an option. Running will only make you an easy target. The only thing left is to face what's coming and hope that somehow, against all odds, you'll survive. The sounds of the arena, the roar of the crowd, the clash of weapons become louder as you step toward the exit. You feel the weight of their eyes on you, even from within the walls of the ludus. They want blood. Your blood. And what about you? What do you want? Freedom? Glory? Or just the chance to keep breathing for one more day? The door opens, and for the first time you step out into the blinding sunlight, the roar of the crowd washing over you. The sand beneath your feet feels different now, as though it's waiting to claim you. You take a deep breath, and the air feels thick with the promise of death. Are you ready? You glance at your opponent across the arena, a hulking figure with the same armor, the same deadly intent, but you don't have time to think about him, only about surviving. The crowd is waiting, the Emperor is watching, the battle begins now. But as the gates of the Colosseum open and the sunlight blinds you for the first time, it becomes clear. This is the moment where your fate is sealed. The moment you step into the arena, the air shifts, the world changes. For a moment, the sounds of the ludus, the shouting trainers, the clashing swords, the sweat, the blood, fade away, and all that's left is the Colosseum, a monstrous, intimidating beast of stone and sand. Your eyes struggle to adjust to the glaring sunlight that seems to burn through your very soul. And then the roar of the crowd. Thousands of voices screaming, cheering, jeering. Thousands of eyes fixed on you. You can feel them, every single one of them, like fingers pressing against your skin. They're hungry for blood, hungry for death. And you are the meal they've been waiting for. Is this what it's all come to? Your breath catches in your throat as you glance around, your heart pounding. The Colosseum, so grand, so magnificent, seems almost too much to bear. You've heard the legends, heroes and monsters fighting for glory, for freedom, for their lives. But now that you're standing here, all you can think about is how far away freedom feels. The sand beneath your feet is coarse, rough, a sharp contrast to the polished stone of the arena's seats. You can almost feel the weight of history pressing down on you. Thousands have fought here, and thousands have died here. What makes you think you'll be any different? Across the arena stands your opponent, a hulking figure in similar armor. His eyes burn with the same fear, the same hunger. He's just like you, a man thrust into this life, trained for only one thing, to kill or be killed. The crowd's cheers grow louder, a wave of sound crashing over you. You can feel it vibrating in your chest, the fear and the anticipation wrapping around you like a tightening noose. This isn't a game. This isn't training. This is real. This is life and death. Is it your turn to die today? The trainer's words echo in your mind. Fight or be forgotten. But what does that really mean? To be forgotten? Does anyone even care if you survive? Does anyone even remember your name? You grip your sword tighter, your fingers slipping slightly from the sweat. It feels heavier now, the weight of it somehow more real, more final. Each movement seems to slow, each breath more difficult to take. You know what you must do. You have no choice. But the question remains, will you survive, or will you fall like so many before you? The gates slam shut behind you, and suddenly you're alone with the roar of the crowd and the shadow of death. You take one step forward, the sand shifting beneath your boots, and with it, everything becomes a blur of sound and motion. You can feel the heat of the sun, the sweat pouring down your back, but none of it matters. Not anymore. The crowd wants blood. The Emperor wants blood. And you? You want to live. But do you even know how to fight for your life? The clang of your sword against the opponents is deafening. The arena fills with the sounds of battle, the clash of steel, the grunts of exertion, the sickening thud of blows landing on flesh. The sand is stained with sweat, blood, and fear. Is this where your life ends? Will you be one of the nameless faces, forgotten by history, just another body left to rot in the arena? But there's a fire in you, something that refuses to die, even as your body screams in pain. You parry another blow, feeling the shock reverberate through your bones. You will not go down easily. The crowd roars again, louder now, urging you on, their thirst for violence insatiable. They are not cheering for your survival, they're cheering for your death, for the blood you spill, for the entertainment you provide them. Do they even care about you? For a brief moment, your eyes scan the audience. You see them. Faces twisted in excitement, some laughing, some crying out in pleasure. These are the people you fight for? These strangers who know nothing about you, who only want to see you suffer, only to see you die with some semblance of dignity. The fight continues, brutal, relentless, as you push yourself beyond what you thought were your limits. This is it. There's no turning back. A sharp pain rips through your side as the opponent strikes and you stumble, your vision blurring. Will this be the moment you fall? But no, you rise, you stand, you fight. Because in the end, survival is all that matters. You're not fighting for glory. You're fighting for your life. And when the fight is over, whether you win or lose, you'll remember one thing: the roar of the crowd, the taste of blood, and the cold, undeniable truth. No matter how much you bleed, the arena always demands more. In the arena, the roar of the crowd is deafening, but the silence in your mind tells a different story. It's not just your opponent you're facing, it's your own fears. The crowd's roar fades into a distant hum as you lock eyes with your opponent. There's something unsettling about it, the way he stares at you. His eyes are wide, filled with an intensity that seems to reach deep inside you, digging beneath your armor, beneath your fear. It's as though he can see the very core of your being, and you know, without a doubt, that he isn't just staring at you, he's sizing you up, calculating how much time it will take to break you. The Colosseum may be filled with thousands of screaming voices, but in this moment, it's just the two of you, man to man, weapon to weapon. Are you ready? You're not sure. The air feels thick now, heavy with the weight of what's about to happen. You try to steady your breath, but it catches in your throat. Sweat drips down your back, but it's not from the heat. It's from the realization that there's no turning back. Not anymore. This is it. Your eyes remain fixed on your opponent. His face is hard, emotionless, like stone. But it's his eyes, those eyes that haunt you. There's no fear there, no hesitation, just the cold certainty of a man who has accepted his fate, who knows that either he walks out of here victorious or he falls like so many before him. What's worse, to be the one who kills or to be the one who dies? The thought spins in your head, and for a moment you wonder if it's even your choice anymore. Do you even have control over your life, or has it already been taken from you? You swallow hard, trying to clear the lump in your throat. Your sword feels heavier now, almost like a weight you can't shake off. You thought you were ready, thought the training had prepared you, but staring into the eyes of this man, this killer, you can't help but wonder if you ever really were. Will you be able to do it? Will you be able to strike first, to survive? Or will you hesitate, even for a moment, and pay the price with your life? The trainer's words echo in your mind. Strike first, strike hard, and don't hesitate. Hesitation means death. But it's not that simple, is it? Hesitation isn't just a mental flaw. It's a human instinct, a deep-rooted fear of killing. To take a life, especially in cold blood in a moment like this, isn't something that comes easily. Doesn't it take a piece of your soul every time you kill? Your opponent shifts slightly. His grip tightens on his weapon. He's waiting for you to make the first move, to make a mistake, to reveal your fear. You can see it in his eyes. The knowledge that he's no different from you. Just another man fighting for his life. He's not a monster. He's not an animal. He's a man just like you. So why do you have to kill him? The question echoes in your mind, but there's no answer. Not in the Colosseum. Not here, under the hot sun with death hanging in the air. The seconds stretch on, each one feeling like an eternity. Your heart beats loudly in your chest, the rhythm of survival. One of you is going to die today. And the only question that matters is, will it be you, or will it be him? You grip your sword tighter, the hilt digging into your hand. Your legs feel like they're made of stone, but you force yourself to take one step forward. Your eyes never leave his, and you can feel it. The tension, the power of this moment. The fight is more than just about weapons. It's about will, the will to survive. You take another step, and he does the same. Are you ready to fight for your life? His eyes flash, and before you know it, he's lunging, sword raised high. The gladiators you spar with are not just enemies. They are shadows of what you might become, cold, relentless, and without mercy. The clash of metal against metal echoes in your ears, sharp and unforgiving. You can feel the vibrations from each strike, each blow that could be your last, or his. The sand beneath your feet shifts with every step, your boots sinking slightly, as if the earth itself is trying to swallow you whole, to remind you that this could be where it ends. But will it? The fight has raged for what feels like hours, or maybe only minutes. Time has lost all meaning in this storm of blood and sweat. Your opponent's face is a blur, his movements calculated, precise, deadly. Each swing of his sword comes with the weight of his will, the drive to win, to survive, just as yours does. But there's something else there too, something in the way he looks at you. Is it respect? Or is it just another way of calculating your weaknesses? He strikes again. You parry, the shock of the blow rattling your bones. It's all reflex now. Fight, block, strike, repeat. Fight for your life. Fight for your survival. But somewhere deep inside, the question keeps gnawing at you. What is this all for? Is it just about survival? Or is there something more, something deeper that you're meant to prove? You think of the days in the Ludus when they told you that fighting wasn't just about the kill, it was about honor. The trainers, the older gladiators, they all spoke of honor like it was a badge, something to be earned. But as you stand here, with blood in your mouth and sweat stinging your eyes, it feels like the only honor left is the one in the eyes of the crowd. Honor? Who are you kidding? The only thing that matters in the arena is who survives, who takes the last breath. You've heard the cheers from the crowd, the jeers, the calls for blood. You know what they want. They want spectacle. They want violence. They want to see who will die and who will stand victorious. But is that what you want? To be another tool for their amusement? You glance at your opponent again, his chest rising and falling with each breath. Does he fight for honor? Or does he fight to survive, just like you? His sword flashes through the air again, and you block it just in time. The force of the blow pushes you back, and for a moment you stagger. The thought crosses your mind. Maybe it would be easier to just fall, to let the crowd have their show, to end this all and be done with it. But you don't. You push forward. There's something in you that refuses to let go. You can't say exactly what it is. Maybe it's the pride, the part of you that refuses to die like a dog in the dirt. Maybe it's the thought that somehow you can win and maybe live, not just survive, but live. You strike back, the blade of your sword catching the sunlight as it cuts through the air. Honor, death. What does it matter in the face of this? Each move is survival, each breath is a fight to keep your soul intact. The line between honor and death is so thin it might as well not exist. The sweat stings your eyes, your muscles scream in agony, but you don't stop. You can't, because if you do, if you hesitate for even a moment, you'll die. And then, as the two of you circle each other in a deadly dance, something strange happens. You look at your opponent, not as a threat, not as the enemy, but as a man just like you. He's here because he has no choice, just like you. He's not a villain, not a monster. He's a gladiator, a man forged by the same empire that has bound you to this hell. So what does that make you? Are you a hero, a murderer, a survivor? The moment stretches as you lock eyes with him one last time. There's a flicker, an understanding, an unspoken truth between two men forced to fight, forced to kill for the amusement of others. The crowd roars around you, but in this moment you both know that honor means nothing here. It's only about who lives and who dies. You make your move. As the fight fades into memory, the silence of the barracks feels too still, and in that stillness you begin to see a flicker of humanity in the eyes of a fellow gladiator. You've fought in countless battles, felt the sting of countless wounds, but there's one thing you never expected to find in the Colosseum: humanity. It happens slowly at first. The briefest glance, the shared silence between the fights. Her name is Aurelia, another gladiator, another prisoner of the Empire's cruelty. But unlike you, she doesn't hide behind the shield of rage or the numbness of survival. She wears her vulnerability like a cloak, and somehow it draws you in. She's standing in the shadows of the Ludus, her arms crossed, watching the sparring with a mixture of exhaustion and determination. There's something in the way she moves, the way her eyes catch yours, that makes you forget the roar of the crowd, the clang of metal, and the endless cycles of violence. In that moment, for the first time, you're not just a gladiator. You're a man. She approaches you after the fight. Her steps are quiet, almost hesitant, as if she's unsure whether to speak. You can see the same hesitation in her eyes, the same uncertainty. She's been through this just like you, been broken, reshaped, and put back together by the Empire. But still, there's something about her, something human. "You did well," she says softly, her voice carrying more weight than the simple words suggest. It's a compliment, yes, but it's also something else. It's a thread, a fragile lifeline tossed across the battlefield. What do you say to that? You nod stiffly, not sure what to do with the kindness. After all, kindness doesn't exist here. Not in the ludus, not in the arena. It's a luxury for the free, not for the slaves of the Colosseum. But there it is, hanging between you like a delicate thread. The next few days pass in a blur, the violence, the training, and the ever-present ache in your body. But there's something different now. Something about her presence makes the fight feel less meaningless. When you spar, when you train, you think about her. You think about the way she looked at you, not as a gladiator, but as a person, as someone worth seeing. One night, after a particularly brutal fight, you're sitting on the cold stone floor of the barracks, the wounds of the day still fresh. Blood, sweat, and dirt cling to your skin, and your body aches in ways you didn't know were possible. You're about to close your eyes, about to lose yourself in the blissful numbness of exhaustion, when you feel a soft touch on your shoulder. Aurelia. She doesn't say anything at first, just sits down next to you, her presence filling the small space between you. For a moment, you think maybe you're just imagining it, but then she speaks, her voice low and hesitant. "We don't have much," she says, her eyes fixed on the wall ahead. "But sometimes I think if we survive this, we might have each other." "Survive this?" You laugh, a bitter, dry laugh that cracks in your throat. Survive? In this place, survival is an illusion, a fleeting dream that disappears every time you step into the arena. But you don't say that to her. You don't shatter the fragile hope she's giving you. Instead, you just nod. Because in the end, isn't that all you can do? Hold on to whatever scraps of humanity you can find? She turns to you then, her eyes meeting yours, and for a moment, the world outside the walls of the ludus fades away. You're not gladiators. You're just two people, living, breathing, holding on to each other as the world crumbles around you. But then the moment passes, and the reality of the Colosseum returns like a slap. The door to the barracks creaks open, and the trainer steps in, his eyes scanning the room. He doesn't say anything, just watches for a moment before turning to leave, as if to remind you that you're not allowed any softness here, not allowed any weakness. And yet, that small moment with Aurelia, that shared silence, remains with you. It's a wound in your heart, a wound that won't heal, but a wound you're willing to carry. Because in the face of everything the Empire has done to you, in the face of the bloodshed, the violence, and the constant fear of death, this connection feels like something worth fighting for. You lie down on the cold floor, the faint sound of Aurelia's breathing beside you. Your body aches, your mind races, but there's a strange peace in knowing that, for one fleeting moment, you are human again. But even in moments of shared silence, you remember the truth. You are not a hero. You are a tool, a puppet in the Emperor's grand game, and no amount of compassion can change that. The crowd's roar is deafening. You can feel the earth tremble beneath your feet as their collective voice crashes over you like a wave, pulling you under, drowning you in their hunger for blood. You stand there, sword in hand, your body slick with sweat and blood, your opponent's blood. It's over. You won. The thought lingers, but it doesn't feel like victory. It doesn't feel like the triumph you thought it would be. Instead, there's a hollow emptiness that gnaws at you, a deep, gnawing truth that settles in your chest. You are alive, but at what cost? Alive. For a fleeting moment you stand there, your chest heaving, staring out at the sea of faces that stare back at you, some in awe, some in expectation, and some in disappointment, because what they wanted wasn't just a fight. They wanted blood. They wanted the spectacle. And you were their show. The Emperor raises his hand, and the crowd quiets, all eyes fixed on you. For a brief moment, you wonder if you even matter. You've just killed a man. You've just ended a life. And yet, they cheer as if it's the most natural thing in the world. What are you? A tool? An entertainer? A fighter? The thought sticks with you like a knife in your gut. You don't feel like a hero. You don't feel like a survivor. You feel like a cog in a machine, spinning on a wheel of violence and blood, trapped in a cycle you can't escape. Your life, Gladiator, the voice of the announcer echoes, cutting through the silence, is your reward. The Emperor's emissary walks toward you, a golden goblet in hand. The gleam of it mocks you, the weight of it a reminder of everything you fought for. You reach out, taking the cup, your fingers trembling slightly. There's wine in it. The taste is sharp, bitter, but it feels almost ceremonial, a reward for killing. The goblet feels like it's burning in your hand. This is your prize? A fleeting moment of approval from the crowd, the empty cheers, and a goblet of wine. You fought for this. You force the wine down, the liquid bitter against your tongue, and you think for a moment that this might be the last time you ever taste anything without the taste of blood in your mouth. But the reality doesn't change. The fight is over, yes, but the war is just beginning. You've won this battle, but you know, deep in your bones, that there will always be another fight, another life to take or to lose. The arena is a beast that never sleeps, always hungry, always demanding more. What is this? Is this the life I've earned? The question hits you harder than any blow you've taken in the arena. What did you win? A trophy? A fleeting moment of recognition? You're still a slave. You're still a gladiator, bound to the whims of the Emperor, to the thirst of the crowd. You glance over at your fellow gladiators. Some stand proud, arms raised, basking in the glory of their victories. Others are quietly nursing their wounds, their faces grim and resigned. You know them. You know their pain. They've been through this too. You're not a hero, you're not a champion, you're alive, and that's all. Is it enough? The question lingers, but there's no answer. Not in the Colosseum, not in a life built on bloodshed. You've won, yes. But there's always a price. There's always more to pay. What's the point of a life that's bought with blood? As the cheers continue to echo in your ears, as the light fades from the arena, you're left standing there, alone in the middle of it all, holding the gift of life, knowing it's a gift that comes with a steep price. And in that moment, you realize you'll never truly be free. But even as the crowd's cheers fade, the silence of the ludus feels even heavier, as though the weight of the arena's promise has been replaced by something far more suffocating, an endless cycle. The days blend together in the ludus like a blur of sweat and blood, indistinguishable from one another, a never-ending cycle of violence and survival. Each morning, the trainers bark their orders, and each evening you collapse, only to wake up and do it all over again. How many days has it been? You've stopped counting. Time has lost its meaning. What's a day in a place like this? A day is just a tick on the clock, a mark between life and death. Every minute feels the same, like sand slipping through your fingers. And yet, each one is a gift. You realize that now, in the still moments between battles, in the rare instances of peace when you can almost breathe, every breath feels like a luxury when you know that each day could be your last. So how much time do you really have? You look around at the other gladiators, their faces just as worn and tired as yours, if not more so. Some of them are older, their bodies riddled with scars and aches, their spirits long broken by the endless cycle of combat. Some of them are fresh, new recruits, eager and naive, unaware of the toll that this life will take on them. You wonder, How much time do they have left? How many more battles can they fight before they break, before they collapse under the weight of it all? You know the answer. The answer is no one really knows. Not in the ludus, not in the arena. Every day is borrowed time. You're living on borrowed time. Every fight you survive is just another chance to delay the inevitable. The fight for survival isn't just about fighting in the arena, it's about surviving each day, each moment, hoping that the gods are on your side long enough to let you see tomorrow. But even tomorrow is uncertain. The emperor, the crowd, they don't care about you. You're a tool, a weapon, a fleeting moment of entertainment. To them, you're nothing more than an instrument to be used until it's no longer useful. Then, you'll be replaced. You've seen it happen. Gladiators who were once champions, once celebrated for their victories, now forgotten, discarded, tossed aside like used-up toys. The gladiators who fight to the death aren't remembered for their strength or skill. They're remembered for their blood, for the spectacle they created. When they fall, the crowd moves on to the next one, and the cycle begins anew. What's the point? You sit down in the barracks, the cold stone pressing against your legs, and you try to focus. But your mind is a whirlwind, filled with questions that have no answers. How much time do you have left? How many more days will you survive before the empire's thirst for blood finally claims you? The older gladiators sometimes talk about the past, about what life was like before the ludus. They speak of the world outside, the world that still has colour, that still has the possibility of freedom. But that world is as distant as the stars. It's a dream, a memory, something that feels like it happened to someone else. You're here now. This is your reality. You can't afford to dream of freedom. You can't afford to wish for a life outside the arena. The arena is your world now, but even in this prison, you can't help but wonder how long you'll last. Your body aches, your wounds still raw from the last fight, but it's not the pain that gets to you. It's the uncertainty, the knowledge that every day could be your last, that every time you step into the arena, it might be your final breath. And yet, you can't help but keep fighting, because what else is there to do? What else can you do but fight and survive, even when you know there's no real victory, no true freedom, no way out? Is this all there is? You don't know anymore, and maybe you never did. But you keep moving, you keep surviving, because that's all you've got left, the chance to see another day, the chance to live just a little longer before the inevitable comes for you. You stare at the cracks in the stone walls, the darkness creeping in at the edges, and you can't help but wonder, how many more days do you have? And then the sound of the trainer's voice shatters your thoughts. It's time to train. It's time to fight again. And just like that, you're pulled back into the cycle of blood, sweat, and death. The cycle that never ends. The cycle that never gives you a moment to stop and ask the question that burns in your gut. How much time do you have left? Days blur into weeks, yet each one reminds you of one undeniable truth. The Empire's power looms over all of us, and no gladiator is more than a fleeting shadow beneath it. You stand in the shadow of the Colosseum, the massive structure looming above you like a sleeping giant, its stone walls dark and foreboding. The noise from the crowd is a distant rumble, muffled by the weight of the world pressing down on your chest. This place is the beating heart of the Empire's might, the arena where life and death are controlled not by fate, but by the whims of those in power. And you are nothing more than a pawn. It's easy to forget that, in the heat of battle, but now, as you stand before the men who hold your future in their hands, you're reminded. The emperor, the senators, the elite. These are the true rulers of Rome, and your life, your very existence, is dictated by their decisions. You are a tool in their hands, a weapon to be wielded when they desire a spectacle, a display of power, or simply the satisfaction of watching a man like you fight to the death. Power. You can feel it as the emissary approaches. his regal robes brushing the dirt beneath his feet. His eyes are cold, calculating, as if he's sizing you up, not as a person, but as an object, a piece of property that could be worth more or less depending on how well you entertain the masses. The Emperor's representative stands before you, holding a scroll in his hand, a symbol of the power he wields. He doesn't see you, not as a gladiator, not as a man. You're just another name, another number. His voice is flat, devoid of any emotion as he speaks. The Emperor has decreed, he says, his tone as dismissive as the flick of his wrist, that you are to fight in the upcoming games. Do well, and you will be rewarded with a chance at freedom. Fail, and you will die like the others. Freedom. The word stings. It feels like a joke, a cruel joke, because you know better. You've seen it before. Gladiators who fought valiantly, who earned the crowd's favour, only to die in the next arena, forgotten by the very people who cheered them on. And freedom? It's a fleeting illusion, a promise made to keep you hopeful, but you know it's nothing more than a carrot dangled in front of a hungry animal. You glance at the man before you. He smiles, a cold, knowing smile that makes your skin crawl. He has power. You can see it in the way he moves, the way he speaks, the way he holds the Emperor's power like a cloak around his shoulders. The Emperor's power is his power. And for the likes of you, that power is absolute. Do they think you're a fool? Do they honestly believe you will be free? That's a joke, right? The Emperor, the senators, they all know the truth. You are nothing more than entertainment, a spectacle. To them, your life is a story, a chapter in a book they control. You try to swallow the bitter taste in your mouth, the realization settling in deeper. This is your life now. These men, these faceless elites who sit in their palaces, who drink their wine and watch as you risk your life for their amusement, they are the ones who control your fate. Every fight, every wound, every death is a small part of the game they've created. And you? You are merely a player on the board, your every move determined by the toss of their dice. What can you do? You want to scream, to rebel, to throw it all away. But what good would it do? They hold all the cards. The Emperor, with his lavish palace and his games of death, is the puppet master. And you? You're just a puppet. You find yourself staring at the man in front of you, the emissary, the one who speaks for the Emperor, and for a moment you feel a flicker of something, anger, frustration, helplessness. But it's quickly buried, swallowed up by the realization that you are nothing in this world. You can fight, you can survive, but ultimately your life is controlled by the whims of men like him. Do you understand? The emissary asks, his voice sharp, breaking through your thoughts. You nod, not because you agree, but because it's easier. It's easier than arguing, easier than defying the man who holds your fate in his hands. Good, he says, his smile returning cold and sharp. We expect great things from you. The Emperor always does. The words hang in the air, heavy with the weight of what they really mean. The Emperor expects great things because he needs great things. He needs blood, violence, spectacle. And you? You're just another pawn in that game. As the emissary turns and walks away, you stand there, rooted to the spot, the weight of his words crushing you. You can feel it, the power of the Emperor, of the Empire, pressing down on you like a boulder, threatening to crush you at any moment. You're a gladiator, a tool of the Empire, and there's no escaping it. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But for now, the games continue, and even the Emperor's power is masked by the laughter and cheers of the crowd, a cruel reminder that your fate is still in their hands. The roar of the crowd is deafening, a tidal wave of sound that crashes against your body, reverberating in your bones. The gladiators, the fighters, the heroes of the arena, we're all just puppets on strings. But today we're not just warriors, today we're entertainment. Laughter echoes across the Colosseum as the trumpets blare, signalling the start of the games. It's almost absurd, isn't it? The way they treat us, these fighters, these murderers, as if we're here for their amusement, as if this were some grand performance for their pleasure, their joy. But what if they knew the truth? Behind the mask of tattered armor and splattered blood, behind the roar and cheers, there's a different face to the games, a face that no one sees, a face that hides behind the mask of laughter. The gladiator's life is no different from that of a jester. We fight to make them laugh, we fight to entertain, and we die to give them a reason to smile. You can almost hear the emperor's voice in your mind. Fight, gladiator, fight for the people, fight for the empire. It's a joke, really. A twisted, cruel joke, because at the end of the day, it's not the empire you fight for. It's for the whims of a crowd that only wants to see a spectacle. Spectacle. That's all you are, isn't it? A performer, an object of entertainment. You've seen the way they react when you fight. Cheering, clapping, jeering, laughing. As if what happens here is no more important than a play or a show, something to pass the time before the next act. You're not a man anymore. You're a character in a twisted, sadistic drama, scripted by the empire, produced for the amusement of the masses. But what do you do when you stop pretending? What do you do when the mask of the fighter slips and the man beneath it starts to show? The gladiator's role is not just to fight, it's to laugh, to smile, to entertain while your very soul is ripped apart. You're expected to be grateful for your survival, grateful for the chance to keep fighting for their amusement. But for whom? You stand at the edge of the arena watching as the next fight is set up. The arena is filled with the rich and powerful, the ones who hold your fate in their hands. They sit on their marble thrones, sipping wine, casually discussing their favourite gladiators, as though we are no more than animals to be bred and trained for the sport of it. But what happens when they tire of the sport? What happens when the blood stops thrilling them? What happens when they've seen enough? The smile on your face feels more like a grimace, a mask you've perfected. If I smile, they'll cheer. If I laugh, they'll love me. They don't care that you're bleeding, that your body is broken, that every day you wake up to face death. All they care about is the performance. If you give them a good show, maybe, just maybe, they'll spare you another day. So you laugh. You laugh because that's what they want. You laugh because it's easier than facing the truth that you're nothing more than a gladiator, a joke. You laugh to drown out the sound of your own heartbeat, which is racing in fear, in anticipation of what's to come. You laugh because laughter is survival. Laughter is the mask that keeps you from breaking. And then the moment comes. You're summoned to the center of the arena. The crowd's voices rise in unison, their chants echoing through the stone walls. The emperor raises his hand, and with it a quiet falls over the Colosseum, as if the entire empire holds its breath, waiting for you to give them what they want. The fight begins. You fight for your life, not for honor, not for glory, but for the fleeting hope that you'll live to see another day. You strike, you block, you swing with all the might you have left, but it's all a show. It's all a game. Because if you lose, if you fall, the crowd will laugh again, and the emperor will decide your fate with a flick of his hand. Laugh, gladiator. Smile and dance for them. Because the arena is your stage, and they are the audience watching, waiting, and never caring about the truth behind the mask. The fight ends. You stand victorious, blooded, bruised, but alive. The crowd erupts in cheers and you bow, because that's what they want. The applause, the recognition, the love of the crowd. You've done your job, but as the cheers continue, as the emperor smiles down upon you, you know the truth. You know that tomorrow you'll do it again. For them, for their amusement, for the empire, and you'll keep laughing because it's the only way to survive. The crowds, entertained by your every move, remain blind to the camaraderie or rivalry that brews among the gladiators, where every strike might be the last from a supposed ally. The sweat stings your eyes as you square off with your training partner, the clang of swords ringing in your ears, the unmistakable sound of steel meeting steel. His blade comes down hard, and you block instinctively, muscles sore from hours of sparring. Another fight, another day in this hell. But there's something different about today, something unsettling. You've been here for months now, long enough to know the rules of the ludus. You fight for survival, fight to live another day, but you also fight alongside others. Or do you? You catch a glimpse of your opponent's face as he swings again, your fellow gladiator, your comrade in arms. But does he see you as a brother or as a rival? Are you the man he trusts to have his back, or the one he'll slit the throat of if it means his own survival? Friend or foe? The thought gnaws at you, a seed of doubt planted deep in your chest. You fought alongside these men, shared the same blood-soaked floor, the same sweat and exhaustion. You've stood side by side, surviving together, but every time you spar, there's a flicker of something else, something darker. You parry another strike, this time just barely. The force of it pushes you back a step. You can't show weakness, you can't show fear. In the ludus, it's not just about fighting others. It's about watching your own back, because in the end, it's every man for himself. Your opponent's eyes are narrowed, calculating. He's been here longer than you, knows the rules of the ludus better than most. You wonder how many men he's already betrayed, how many he's fought for his own survival, and how many of them have fallen under his blade, how many of them trusted him before they died. The fight continues, and for a moment you see something in his eyes, a flicker of respect maybe, or is it just the understanding that if one of you falls, the other survives? Is this brotherhood, or just a temporary alliance of necessity? The strike comes faster than you expect. You block, but your foot slips in the sand, and his sword catches your side. The pain is sharp, and you stagger, barely managing to stay on your feet. Is he trying to kill you, or just trying to win? The question lingers in your mind as you back away, clutching your side where blood begins to seep through the fabric of your tunic. You see the flicker of hesitation in his eyes, the brief moment where he questions whether to finish you off or let you live. Why hesitate? You take a deep breath, the air hot and heavy with the scent of sweat and blood, and you raise your sword again. You know that hesitation means death here. You know that the moment you drop your guard, even for an instant, your fellow gladiator will become your executioner. Or will he? You can feel the weight of the moment, the tension between trust and survival, between friendship and competition. Gladiators are bound by the same fate, forced to fight together, to rely on each other for survival. But beneath that camaraderie, beneath the forced brotherhood, there's always the question, will he be the one to kill me, or will I be the one to kill him? The fight continues, and you push yourself to keep moving, to keep fighting. The pain in your side is a distant thing, an ache that only fuels the fire inside you. You can't afford to think about it. You can't afford to think about him either. You strike, your sword slicing through the air. The clang of steel against steel fills your ears, the sweat dripping into your eyes. Is this a fight for survival, or a fight for dominance? The fight ends with neither of you dead, neither of you victorious. Instead, it ends with the exhaustion of two men who have learned too well what it means to fight, to survive, and to distrust the very people you share this hell with. You step back, wiping the sweat from your brow, your side aching, and you look at him, your comrade, your brother-in-arms, or your rival, depending on how the next fight plays out, friend, foe, or both. But even in the fleeting moments of camaraderie, there is no escape from the arena's hold. The real battle lies in the final fight, where your freedom is the prize or the last casualty. The day of the great battle arrives, and with it, a heavy silence falls over the ludus. The air is thick with tension, each breath feeling heavier than the last. You stand among your fellow gladiators, the weight of your armor digging into your skin, the weight of what's to come pressing down on your chest. This is it. The Colosseum awaits, and with it, the Emperor's entertainment. The moment the gates open, you'll be thrust into the arena again, to fight, to kill, to survive. The crowd's roar will fill your ears, and for a fleeting moment, you'll be the star of their show, their hero, before they forget you, or worse, before they demand your blood. You glance at the other gladiators, all of them dressed in their battle gear, all of them with the same look in their eyes. Fear, determination, a mask of false confidence. The ritual of death is not just about the battle, it's about the show, the pomp and circumstance, the belief that you can walk into the arena and fight like a god, when in reality, you're nothing more than a man, just as vulnerable as the one you're about to face. The trainers move through the crowd of gladiators, giving their final instructions with voices that could cut through stone. Fight for glory. Fight for Rome. Fight for your lives. But the words feel hollow. They've said this 1,000 times before. And you've heard it all before. Is this how it ends? You ask yourself, as the clang of armor fills your ears, as the murmurs of the crowd begin to rise in anticipation. Is this how it's going to end for you? With a few moments of glory, a few moments of being cheered as the crowd's champion before they turn to the next gladiator, the next victim, the next piece of entertainment. You try to ignore the nagging thoughts in the back of your mind, but they won't leave. Survival is all that matters. Yet, how do you survive when you're not even fighting for your life? You're fighting for their amusement. The trainers gather you together and give you one last look of approval, one last nod. Good luck, they say, as if that means anything. The luck they speak of doesn't exist. There is no luck in this game, no fate guiding you to freedom. Only blood, only strength, only the crowd's cheers. Is this what they call fate? You feel the false confidence bubbling up inside you, that familiar mask that all gladiators wear. It's the only way to survive this. Pretend like you're invincible. Pretend like it's all just a game. You walk toward the gates of the arena, the roar of the crowd growing louder, growing more insistent, like a wave about to crash over you. You remind yourself that this is what you've trained for, what you've bled for. But inside, there's something else. A quiet whisper of truth you refuse to acknowledge. You're not ready. None of you are. You could die today. You could die in the next few minutes. But death, it seems, is never far away. The gates swing open, and the blinding light of the Colosseum hits you like a wall. You step out onto the sand, the heat of the sun unbearable. The noise of the crowd is deafening, and for a moment you feel like you're drowning in it. The arena is a sea of faces, eager, bloodthirsty, waiting for the show to begin. And there, across the arena, stands your opponent. Another gladiator, another man just like you, except he's here to kill you. There's no camaraderie here, no brotherhood. There's only survival. And in the end, only one of you will walk out of this arena alive. Your sword feels heavy in your hand, but you grip it tightly, the cold steel comforting you, reminding you of your training, your purpose, your role in this sick performance. You raise it, ready to fight, ready to die, because in the end it's all the same. Fight for survival, fight for the crowd, fight for death. The fight begins. As the Colosseum's roar fades into the night, the promise of freedom stirs something deeper, a desperate, fleeting chance to escape the Empire's suffocating grip. The moon hangs low in the sky, casting pale light across the ludus. The sounds of the Colosseum are far away now, replaced by the eerie silence of the night. But that silence is deceptive, for beneath it there's something stirring, a whisper of rebellion, a flicker of hope, or maybe just the quiet despair of men who have nothing left but their desire for freedom. You sit in the barracks, the stone walls closing in around you, the faint scent of sweat and blood lingering in the air. The other gladiators are asleep or pretending to sleep, but you can feel it, like a low hum vibrating through your chest. Something is happening. A murmur spreads through the room. You glance around, eyes narrowing. You've heard the whispers before. Talk of escape, of running, of breaking free from the ludus and the Empire. But it's always just talk. Until now. A figure approaches you in the shadows. Sextus, one of the older gladiators. His face is hardened, his eyes sharp with intent. There's a plan. You can feel it in the air. in the tension that hangs between you like an invisible thread. Escape. We've got a chance, he says, his voice low, barely a whisper. Tonight. The words hang in the air like a spark in dry grass. You don't ask how. You don't need to. Sextus doesn't need to explain. You know the risks, the consequences, but for the first time in years, hope flickers in your chest. Escape. Freedom. You stand up, your muscles stiff from the days of training and fighting. You glance at the sleeping gladiators around you. Some of them are barely alive inside, their spirits long broken by the endless cycle of combat and death. But not all. Not you. How? You ask, your voice barely audible. Sextus's smile is grim, his eyes dark with the knowledge of what it means to try and break free. There's a way out. A gap in the walls, a few hidden passages, but it won't be easy. The guards, the dogs, the damn Emperor's men, they'll be on us the moment we make a move. You know the risks. You've seen the other gladiators who tried to escape, those who were caught and punished, their bodies left as examples for anyone else who might consider running. But tonight, it feels different. The night is quiet, the shadows deep, and for once there's the possibility of something beyond the walls of the ludus. Is this what freedom feels like? The thought sits heavy in your mind, a strange mix of excitement and fear. The plan is simple, almost too simple. Slip past the guards, escape the city, disappear into the night. But there are too many things that could go wrong. Too many risks. What if we fail, you ask, your voice barely a whisper. Sextus looks at you, his eyes sharp. We die, or we live to see another day. But what's the alternative, eh? He shrugs, his voice hard. Another fight, another show for the Emperor. Another day of watching our lives be decided by others. The only way out of here is through the gates of death or the gates of freedom. Which one do you want? The question hangs in the air, sharp and biting. Is it worth it? Freedom. The word tastes strange on your tongue. Is it real? Can it be real? After everything, after the endless bloodshed, the training, the games, can you really break free? Or is it just a fantasy, a dream that dies the moment you step outside the ludus? You know the risks. You know the consequences. But you also know something else. You're not just a gladiator. You're a man. And a man can only be chained for so long before he starts to wonder what it would feel like to be free. Sextus leans closer, his voice urgent. Tonight, we either escape or we die. There's no other option. You nod slowly, your mind racing. You've fought for so long. Fought for survival, fought for entertainment, fought for death. But this is something different. This is fighting for something real. Fighting for freedom. The question presses on your mind as you prepare to move. Is freedom worth the risk? Is it worth dying for? But there's no time to ponder. The plan is in motion. The opportunity is here, and the walls of the ludus feel tighter than ever. As you make your way toward the exit, the weight of your decision presses on you, but for the first time in years, it feels like you have control. You glance at Sextus one last time, and he nods, as if to say, "Let's do this." And in the distance the guards stir, the silence of the night broken by the sound of approaching footsteps. This is it. The night is dark, but the path ahead is uncertain. Will you make it, or will you be swallowed by the Empire's hunger, like so many before you? Escape, a dream so close within reach, is clouded by the one fight you cannot run from, the one inside your mind where fear and doubt are the fiercest enemies. The cold stone floor presses against your back as you lie there, gasping for air, your muscles screaming in protest. The fight has been brutal. You've fought with every ounce of strength you have left, but somehow it's never enough. Is it ever enough? The crowd roars outside, but it feels distant now, like a hollow echo. Their cheers mean nothing to you anymore. The clink of coin, the lavish robes of the elite, the glimmering eyes of the Emperor, it all fades into a blur. All that matters now is survival. And today, survival feels like an impossible task. What am I even fighting for? You roll to your side, pushing yourself up, your fingers slipping against the rough sand of the arena floor. The pain is unbearable, but it's nothing compared to the gnawing emptiness in your chest, the doubt that's settled there like a parasite. You've been here too long, too deep in the muck, and now you're not sure if you can even tell what you're fighting for anymore. You don't know if it's the fear that's choking you or the doubt that's poisoning your thoughts. Every day you wake up to fight again, and every day it feels like the same fight, the same emptiness, the same fear. What if I'm not strong enough? Your mind drifts back to the battle. You've faced this enemy before. Fear. Fear that clouds your thoughts. Fear that makes your sword feel heavier. Fear that keeps you from striking when you need to. It's not the enemy across from you that's the real threat. It's the one inside you. The voice that whispers, telling you that you'll fail, that you're not strong enough, that you're just a tool to be discarded. You hear footsteps behind you, and you turn to find Sextus standing there, his face tired but determined. He's been through this before too. He knows the weight of doubt, the pull of fear. "You're still breathing," he says, a small sardonic smile tugging at his lips. "That's something." You don't laugh. You don't even smile. The words, though meant to be comforting, feel hollow. What good is breathing if every breath feels like a fight for something you've already lost? "I don't know if I can keep doing this," you admit, the words coming out before you can stop them. The fear, the doubt, it's eating me alive. What's the point if every fight feels like it's just a step toward dying? Sextus looks at you, his expression unreadable for a moment. Then he sits beside you on the cold stone floor, the weight of his years in the arena clear in the lines of his face. "There's no point," he says quietly, his voice hoarse. "Not in the way you're thinking. There's no glory in this, no noble cause, just a fight for survival. The moment you stop seeing that, you've already lost." You stare at the sand beneath your feet, the question still swirling in your mind. Why keep fighting? Sextus's words hang in the air between you. Is that all there is? No honor, no freedom, just survival. It feels like a cruel joke, a never-ending nightmare you can't wake up from. "Sometimes," Sextus continues, "the hardest fight isn't against the enemy in the arena. It's the one inside you, the fear, the doubt, the part of you that wants to give up because it's easier than facing it every day." You clench your fists, the pain from your wounds sharp and real. It's true, the hardest battles are the ones no one sees, the ones that happen inside your mind. "And what if I fail?" you ask, barely above a whisper. "What if I can't do it anymore? What if I just give in?" Sextus doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he looks at you, eyes filled with years of experience, of losses, of victories, of survival. "You'll die," he says simply, "and they'll move on to the next gladiator. It's the way it works here, but don't think for a moment that the fight ends when you die. It doesn't. The moment you stop fighting, they win, and the Empire wins." His words hit you like a cold wave. The Empire, the Colosseum, the Emperor, they want you to give up. They want you to feel small, insignificant, like nothing more than a tool to be used until it's broken. But here you are, still breathing, still fighting. "Don't let them win," Sextus says, his voice almost a growl. "Fear and doubt are weapons, just like any sword. Don't let them control you." Fear, doubt, these are the enemies you face every day. You stare at Sextus for a long moment, the weight of his words sinking in. He's right. This fight isn't just about survival. It's about resisting the darkness inside, the pull of hopelessness that threatens to drag you under. You don't have to win every battle, but you can't stop fighting, not yet. The sounds of the Colosseum grow louder as the day shifts. The noise from the crowd, the distant clang of swords, the battle is coming. You get to your feet, the doubt still there, but now something else too. A quiet determination. You're not going to give up. Not today. "Thanks," you say, your voice steadying. "I needed to hear that." Sextus nods, his face softening just slightly. "We all do. Every damn day." You walk toward the gates of the Ludus, your sword heavy in your hand, your heart heavy in your chest. The doubt is still there, but now it's something you can fight. You've survived this long. You'll survive another day. The scars you see on your body are nothing compared to the invisible ones that linger long after the last fight. They are the wounds of your soul, unhealed and unspoken. The days blur together, like a smear of blood on a sanded canvas, each one indistinguishable from the next. You wake to the familiar groan of your aching muscles, the deep sting of wounds that, for all their visible signs, never quite seem to heal. But it's not the physical scars that are the worst. It's the ones that no one can see, the ones that burrow deep within, where no healing balm can reach, where no physician's care will mend them. You can fix a broken arm, stitch up a gash, but you can't repair what's broken inside. Who would even understand? You run a hand over your face, feeling the rough stubble of days without proper rest. The arena's blood and sweat have soaked into your skin, but it's the silent, lingering weight of the last battle that still clings to you. Every fight leaves something behind, something you can't wash off. The physical wounds may have healed. Your side no longer aches from the sword that tore into your flesh. Your head no longer pounds from the strike that knocked you senseless. But your mind, it never stops. You step outside into the courtyard, the cool morning air feeling like a slap in the face, sharp and unforgiving. It's quiet now, but you can almost hear the distant echo of the crowd's cheer, the clang of swords, the screams of men fighting for their lives. Is that all you'll ever hear? You've fought so many times now that the sound of the arena is a constant hum, like an old song you can't forget, even if you want to. You've become so used to the violence, the bloodshed, the desperate hope that you might just survive another round, that it feels like a part of you, like something you can never truly escape. You glance over at your fellow gladiators standing in the shadows, each of them just as lost in their thoughts. Some of them laugh and joke, trying to ignore the damage done, trying to pretend that they're not hollow inside. But you see through it. You see the fear in their eyes, the ghosts that haunt them every time they close their eyes, the memories that come rushing back with every fight. Are you any different? You run your fingers over the scar on your arm, the one from the first battle you ever fought, the one that, at the time, felt like a rite of passage, a badge of honor. But now it's just a reminder of what you've become, a reminder of how much you've given up in this twisted world. You remember the first time you saw another gladiator fall, his body limp, his eyes staring, unseeing, the blood spilling across the sand like it was nothing more than paint. But he was someone once. He had a life. He had a future. That man, that fighter, he didn't just die in the arena. He died inside long before the final blow came, and so did you. You shake your head as if trying to rid yourself of the thought. It doesn't work. The thought lingers, because you know it's true. In that moment, when you step into the arena, when you draw your sword, when you feel the weight of the crowd's gaze on you, you're not just fighting for your life. You're fighting to hold on to whatever shred of humanity you have left. But can you still call it humanity? The scars on your body are nothing compared to the ones on your soul. The things you've done, the things you've witnessed, the blood, the screams, the hollow faces of the men you've killed, the ones who died beside you. Every fight takes something from you. Every battle eats away at you piece by piece. You hear footsteps behind you and turn to see Aurelia, one of the few you trust in this hell. Her face is weary, her eyes shadowed, but there's something there. A flicker of understanding, like she sees the same darkness inside herself. "You look like hell," she says softly, her voice barely above a whisper. You smile, but it's bitter. "You've seen hell too?" She nods. It never leaves. For a moment, neither of you says anything. The weight of her words hangs in the air between you, the truth you both know but refuse to acknowledge. The hell never leaves. The fight you just fought, it's not over. It never ends. The cuts heal, the bruises fade, but the memories, the fear, the constant anxiety, they never fade. You can try to numb them, to bury them under the weight of each new battle, but they're always there, lurking beneath the surface. Do you ever think it's worth it, you ask her, the question coming out before you can stop it. Aurelia looks at you, her gaze steady. I think about it every damn day, but what's the alternative? You don't answer. You don't need to, because you know the alternative is death. And death, while it might seem like the easy way out, is never really the answer. The arena has taught you that much. You walk back toward the barracks, each step feeling heavier than the last, the weight of your invisible wounds pressing on you, dragging you down. You've survived another battle, yes, but there's a part of you that wonders, how much of you is still left? But as the days stretch on, the emptiness fades into routine. The same fights, the same faces, the same silence that never seems to end. The sun never seems to reach the depths of the ludus. You could be standing in the middle of the day with the light filtering through the cracks of the stone walls, and it would still feel like a perpetual twilight. No sun, no warmth. Just the cold, unfeeling stone. Days melt into one another, indistinguishable, as if time itself has given up. The clang of weapons, the grunts of fellow gladiators, the commands from the trainers, it's all the same, over and over. Morning, afternoon, evening. Does it matter? You wake to the same damn routine. You wake to the scent of sweat and blood, the harsh sound of feet marching on stone, and the oppressive silence that hangs between the battles. The training begins, the fights follow, and the endless cycle repeats. Is this life, or is this just a waiting room for death, a slow and drawn-out process of waiting for the next blow, the next fight, the next moment, where you'll either survive or be left behind? You drag yourself through each day, each fight, each moment, and somewhere deep inside, a part of you has started to fade. The hunger for victory, the hope for freedom. It all feels like a dream that's long since past. The applause of the crowd, the promises of glory, all lies. You've seen it enough times. Gladiators who were once hailed as heroes, only to die in the next arena, forgotten by the very people who cheered their names. Does anyone even remember your name anymore? You stand in the training yard, your sword heavy in your hand, the muscles in your arm aching from the constant strain. The trainer barks orders, and you comply, moving through the motions, your body obeying because it's learned to obey. The rest of it? The rest of you is just going through the motions like a man walking a tightrope with no end in sight. The fight's already been fought in your head. You already know how it ends. Either you win or you don't. The crowd's going to cheer either way, they'll scream for blood, and when the last breath is taken, they'll move on to the next gladiator, the next performance. You're just a face in the crowd, a name that's quickly forgotten. You glance over at the others, the faces of men who have lost the spark in their eyes. They don't talk much anymore. They don't laugh. They don't hope. They just fight, because that's all they know how to do. That's all they've been trained to do. And you're no different. The hours pass like the beats of a dull drum. Training, fighting, eating, sleeping. Repeat. Your world is a broken record, skipping over the same track, playing the same song of blood, sweat, and fear. Is this the price of survival? Sextus approaches you after the drills, his face drawn with exhaustion. He's been here longer than you, fought more battles, survived more horrors. But even he, with all his experience, wears the same vacant look in his eyes. You look like hell, he mutters, his voice hoarse, as if the words themselves are a struggle. You don't bother to respond. There's no point. The truth is written on both of your faces, in every scar, every bruise, every mark of survival. You've both lost something. The quiet between you stretches for a long moment before he finally speaks again, his words bitter, almost lost in the empty air. Do you ever wonder if it'll stop? If we'll ever get out of this? You think about it, the thought gnawing at you. Will it stop? Will it ever end? The fights, the pain, the constant sense that your life is just a series of moments, each one less important than the last. Will it ever end? No, you say, the word coming out far more hollow than you intended. I don't think it will. He nods slowly, the faintest hint of a smile crossing his lips, though it's not a smile at all. It's a grimace, a twist of bitter acceptance. Yeah, me neither. You look away, your eyes fixed on the horizon, but you don't see anything. The sand beneath your feet, the familiar stone walls, the faint outline of the Colosseum in the distance. It's all just the same. The same endless cycle of days without meaning, without change. What's the point? What are you fighting for, really? Glory, freedom, the chance to see the sunrise again, to walk outside these walls and live as a man, not a tool, number. You know the truth. You fight because you have no choice. You fight because it's the only thing you're allowed to do, the only thing they've trained you to do. And every fight, every wound, every kill, it just brings you one step closer to the end. But the question remains, why keep fighting? Sextus walks away, leaving you standing there, the weight of your thoughts pressing on your chest like 1,000 pounds of stone. You've fought so long, endured so much, but what's left? What happens when the cycle finally breaks? Or does it? Can it ever really end? But even as the crowds cheer and the Emperor's gaze locks onto you, there's no escaping the truth. This isn't just another fight. This is the battle where everything you've been through comes to a head. The arena is alive with the cries of the crowd, the earth beneath your feet pulsing with the rhythm of bloodlust. But today, the fight isn't just about survival. It's not just about who gets to live and who falls. Today, it's different. Today, you step into the sand not as a gladiator, not as a tool of the Empire's cruel entertainment, but as something more, something you've buried for so long, something you've almost forgotten was ever inside you. Honor. It's strange, isn't it? To think of honor in this place, of all places, the Colosseum, where men are pitted against each other for sport, for show, where life and death are as disposable as the next coin in the Emperor's purse. But somehow, today, it feels like something more. You can't explain it, but as you take your position in the center of the arena, the roar of the crowd fades into the background, and all you hear is the pounding of your own heart. It's as if this moment is everything. Every fight, every wound, every tear, all leading up to this. Is this where it ends, or is this where it all begins? Your opponent stands across from you, just another gladiator, another man trapped in the same brutal game. But today, there's a difference in his eyes. You can see it. He's not just fighting for survival either. He's fighting for something too. The way he grips his sword, the way he stands, shoulders squared, chest puffed out, he's fighting for respect, for something beyond the blood and sweat of the arena. This fight will not just be about who survives. This fight will be about who we are. You feel the weight of it. You feel the gravity of the moment, a pull deep within your gut. The battle ahead isn't just a contest of strength or skill. It's a battle for identity, for the dignity that's been stripped from you over countless rounds of bloody combat. It's about proving, not just to the crowd, but to yourself, that you are more than the sum of your scars and the clink of chains. You are a man, and this is your fight for something that's yours, your honor. The gate creaks open. The sun beats down on you, the sand too hot beneath your feet, the wind swirling dust into your eyes. The gladiators in the stands watch with bated breath, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. You can feel the Emperor's gaze from the royal box, as cold and calculating as ever. He doesn't care who wins. He doesn't care about your honor. To him, you're just another piece in his game, another gladiator whose death will fuel his power. But that doesn't matter now. You lock eyes with your opponent. There's a flicker of understanding there, a moment of silent recognition. We are not enemies. We are men, bound by the same fate, forced to fight in a world that strips us of everything, except our will to survive. But today, it's not just about surviving. You step forward, your sword raised, and he mirrors you, his eyes fierce, his grip firm. The crowd erupts around you, but the world feels smaller now, the noise receding. It's just you, him, and the dance of blades. The first strike is swift, his blade cutting through the air with the precision of a man who's been trained for this moment. You block it, the impact shaking through your bones, but you don't flinch. You push forward, your body moving with the rhythm of the fight, the way your instructors drilled it into you, the way your survival depends on it. You trade blows, strike, parry, step, thrust, each move feeling more purposeful than the last. This isn't just fighting. This isn't about surviving the next round. This is about defining who you are. In the heat of the battle, you are no longer just a gladiator. You are a man fighting for his soul, for his humanity. And yet, there's a part of you, a dark part, that wonders, why? Why fight for honor in a place where everything is bought with blood and sweat? What does honor even mean in the Colosseum, where life is cheap and death is a spectator sport? But as the fight continues, the answer becomes clear. Honor is the last thing left to you. Your sword strikes, catching him on the side. The cut isn't deep, but it's enough to draw blood, enough to make him hesitate. He staggers, and for a moment you see it, the flicker of vulnerability. Just like you, he's fighting to hold on to something. You take a breath, your body aching, your wounds reminding you of every fight that came before this one. This fight is your moment. Another strike, another block, and then the final blow. The crowd falls silent, the air thick with tension. You stand over him, your sword poised, but something inside you falters. The Emperor's voice rings out, demanding the kill, but you hesitate. The moment stretches, and for a brief instant you see your opponent's face. Not the face of an enemy, but a man, just like you, caught in the same cycle of violence. Does he deserve to die? But you know what must be done. You swing your sword down, the fight over. The crowd erupts into deafening cheers, but you barely hear them. You stand there chest heaving, your body drenched in sweat and blood, and you wonder, what did I prove today? You proved that even in this hell, even when stripped of everything, you can still fight for something that's yours. Honor. And though the arena is still filled with the cries of the crowd, you can feel something in your chest, the echo of your victory. Not just for survival, but for you. Yet, in the aftermath of the final fight, even the echo of victory is hollow, as the weight of your past and the walls of your cell close in around you. The bars of the cell are cold, not just physically, cold to the soul. They are the unfeeling boundary between you and the world, the harsh reminder that the outside, the world you once knew, is now a distant dream. You can't remember the last time you saw the sky without the looming shadow of the Colosseum hanging over it. You can't remember what it felt like to sleep without the sound of chains rattling, the murmurs of men whose lives have been broken and rebuilt by the Empire's blood-soaked hands. The prison is quiet at night, but it's not a peaceful quiet. It's a heavy, suffocating quiet, filled with the sounds of men staring into the darkness, thinking of things they'll never have again. Freedom, family, home. You remember your family, the faces of loved ones who seem like ghosts now, fading more and more each day. Do they even remember you? You lay on the hard stone floor, your body aching from the endless cycle of training and fighting. Every bone feels like it's been replaced with stone, every muscle like it's been scraped raw. The food they give you is tasteless, barely enough to keep you going, but it's not the hunger of the body that gnaws at you now. It's the hunger of the mind. What happened to your life? When did you stop being a person? When did you become just a gladiator, just another man marked by his scars, his blood, his victories, and his defeats? The life outside seems like a distant memory, like something that belongs to another person, a version of you that never existed in this dark, suffocating world. The clank of the cell door opening breaks your thoughts. A guard steps in, his face impassive, his eyes dull with the same emptiness that fills the entire prison. He doesn't speak. He doesn't have to. The look in his eyes tells you everything. You're nothing more than an animal in his eyes, a tool to be used, a body to be sacrificed for the Empire's amusement. Up, he barks, and the word cuts through the silence like a whip. You stand slowly, your legs stiff, your body protesting every movement. You've been here for so long now, living in this cold, grey cage, that the idea of life outside, of freedom, feels like something from a dream. But even in the darkest corners of your mind, the thought of escape lingers. Can you ever truly be free? Or is the Empire's grip on you so strong that even the thought of freedom is just another cruel illusion? You follow the guard out of the cell, your footsteps echoing in the narrow hallways, the sound of your chains dragging on the stone floor like a death march. The halls are dim, the flickering torches casting long shadows that stretch like dark hands, reaching for you, pulling you back into the abyss of the ludus. What happens to you now? You pass by the other prisoners, the men who have been here for years, some of them so broken they barely remember what it was like to be free. Others, like you, still hold on to the thread of hope no matter how thin it is. They stare at you as you pass, their eyes empty, their faces a map of the years spent in this hell. But then there are the new ones, the fresh meat, the ones who haven't yet been worn down by the endless cycle of violence and survival. They still have hope in their eyes, the flicker of something resembling life, something that hasn't been extinguished by the Colosseum's bloodthirsty demands. You pity them, and you envy them. They don't know yet what's waiting for them in the sand, in the heat, in the arena. They don't know what it means to be stripped of their humanity, one battle at a time. You step into the training yard, your fellow gladiators already lined up, ready for the drills, ready to be moulded into perfect killing machines once again. And that's all you are now, nothing more than a weapon. You hear the crack of the trainer's whip in the distance, the harsh sound pulling you back to the reality of your existence. The ludus, the Colosseum, the Emperor, they've all stripped you of your identity, of your past, of your very soul. Is this all you are? The training begins. You lift your sword, your body moving on autopilot, the motions familiar but meaningless. Every swing, every strike, every block, it's all the same. You don't even think about it anymore. You've learned to survive by suppressing everything else. Your thoughts, your emotions, your memories. Just survive. But deep down, the question still nags at you. What happens when survival is all you have left? You block a strike from a fellow gladiator, and the sharp edge of the sword clinks against your armor, snapping you out of your thoughts. The sound is jarring but familiar. You breathe, focusing on the fight. The fear, the doubt, they're always there, lurking in the back of your mind, but there's nothing you can do about it. Not anymore. The drill continues. The sweat drips down your face, stinging your eyes, but you don't wipe it away. You don't have time. There's no time to think. There's only time to fight. The hours drag on. The drills get harder. The pain gets sharper. And through it all, one thing remains true. You are not free. But the question, as always, lingers in the back of your mind, a whisper in the dark. Will you ever be free? Even as the gates of the ludus open to grant you the freedom you fought for, the crowd's gaze remains the same, demanding, judging, as if you are still theirs to control. The crowd roars, their cheers a deafening wave that crashes against your chest, but you've learned to block it out. At least you try to, because it's not the noise that matters anymore. It's the eyes, the way the audience watches you, the way they look, the way they react. That's where the real power lies. You step into the arena again, your sword gripped tightly in your hand, your armor reflecting the harsh sun as the roar of the crowd surrounds you. But today, you're not just a gladiator. Today, you are a performer, an actor in a cruel, bloody play. And the audience, they're not just spectators. They are your judges. They are your lifeblood. The first fight was a blur. You didn't know who you were fighting for, or who was watching. You fought for survival, for breath, for life. But somewhere along the way, you learned something. The fight isn't just about you. It's about them. The people in the stands, the emperor in his box, the senators, the wealthy merchants, the rabble of Rome who come to see men like you die for their entertainment. How do you make them love you? How do you make them cheer, beg for more, scream your name and forget you're a man just like them? You've learned to read the crowd, the slight shift in their posture, the way they lean forward when the fight starts to get good, the way their faces contort when they crave blood. The subtle cues that tell you exactly what they want and how to give it to them. You've learned that the crowd doesn't just want a fight, they want drama, they want emotion, they want pain, but they also want triumph. They want a story. And you've learned how to give them that story. You know when to play the hero, when to stagger and fall, when to rise again. Wounded but unbroken, you've learned how to make them gasp, how to make them stand up, how to make them scream for more. You've learned that a well-timed pause, just when they think you're done, when they think you've lost, will make them beg for your next move. You've learned that even in the face of death, you can sell them hope. The trick is knowing exactly what they want, knowing exactly when to give it to them. The fight today is different. The tension is different. Your opponent, he's not just another man, not just another body to swing a sword at. He's part of the game. He's an actor, just like you. But this time, the script is yours. You lock eyes with him. There's a flicker of recognition there, a silent acknowledgement that the rules have changed. This isn't just a fight for survival. This is a performance. And you know how to play the crowd. You take a breath, the air thick with the dust of the arena, and you raise your sword. The first strike is swift. His sword clangs against yours, the sharp sound echoing across the sand. But you don't feel the weight of the battle anymore. You feel the weight of their eyes. You can almost hear their thoughts, the way they want you to win, the way they want to see blood, the way they want a hero. You play it up. You stagger, you fall, and you hear the crowd gasp. Their hunger for blood is palpable, but it's not just about blood. They want the drama. They want you to struggle. They want you to get back up, to fight like your life depends on it, to show them that you have something to fight for. And so, you rise. You fight with everything you have, but it's not just for your survival anymore, it's for them. Every move is calculated, every strike a beat in a play that's been rehearsed too many times to count. You block his attack, you counter with a strike of your own, and the crowd, they're with you. You can see it in their eyes, the hunger, the anticipation. They want the finish, they want the end. But you're not there yet. You'll make them wait. You'll make them beg for it. Another blow, another parry. The fight goes on, but now it's not just about the clash of steel. It's about the tension between you and the crowd. You know they're waiting for the climax. You know they're waiting for the final moment. And when it comes, when you bring the fight to its dramatic conclusion, when you land the final blow and stand victorious, they will scream. You stand over your opponent, panting, your chest heaving with exertion, and for a brief moment you catch your breath. The Emperor's eyes are on you, the senators are watching, their faces eager. And you've done it! You've given them what they wanted! The crowd erupts into a cacophony of cheers. They rise to their feet, screaming your name as if you're a god, a legend. But you're just a man who knows exactly how to read their gaze. You look up, your chest swelling with the adrenaline, and for a brief moment it all makes sense. You fought for your life, you fought for your survival. But this time, you fought for something more. You fought for control. The crowd cheers, but behind the roar there's nothing but silence inside your heart, and the uncertain question of what it really means to be free. The arena is silent, but you can still hear it, the echo of your own breath, shallow and ragged in the stillness. The stone walls loom around you, pressing in and closing in, like a prison you can't escape. This is the waiting game. You've been here before. The calm before the storm, the inevitable moment where the gates will open and the chaos will begin again. The fight will start, and you'll be thrust into the dance of life and death, with the roar of the crowd filling your ears. But today, it feels different. The tension is thicker, heavier, almost suffocating. You stand in the shadows of the ludus, your sword clenched in your hand, your armor cold against your skin. It's strange, isn't it? The quiet before a fight, the stillness that makes you feel like time itself is holding its breath. But in truth, you've learned something in all these years. It's not the fight that kills you, it's the waiting. The time before the gates open, when you have nothing to do but think, nothing to do but reflect. Your past, your present, your future, all of it swirling together in the same vortex of uncertainty, fear, and resignation. Every gladiator knows this moment. It's the calm before the inevitable, the moment you wonder if this will be the fight that finally ends you. Is it today? You've fought for survival for so long, but lately you can't shake the feeling that you're just passing time. Every wound you've taken, every breath you've struggled to catch, it all feels like it's leading to something you can't control. Your heart beats louder, faster, as the gate creaks in the distance, signaling the inevitable approach of the arena. They're calling you. The crowd is calling you. The emperor is waiting, hungry for blood. They all want the same thing, the spectacle, the fight, the drama. But what do you want? What is left to fight for? You think of the days before, the days when you had a name, a life, something beyond the walls of this place. The memories are fading now, like a dream you can barely grasp. Does it even matter anymore? The irony of it all stings. You're a gladiator, trained to kill and die for the Empire's amusement, and yet all you've ever wanted is freedom. Is that too much to ask? But you know the truth. The Empire doesn't care about freedom. It only cares about control, about keeping you in your place. Freedom? It's a luxury you'll never have. Not in a place like this. Not when you're shackled by the Emperor's will, by the blood-soaked sand beneath your feet. So, what's left? You glance at your sword, the cold steel gleaming in the faint light of the arena. It's a tool, a weapon, a reminder that in this world, survival is all that matters. Honor? Glory? Those are just words, meaningless whispers in the wind. The crowd's noise begins to swell, distant at first, but growing louder, more insistent. They're waiting for you. They want a show. But you've learned something over the years. Something they can't take away from you. You've learned that you control the moment before the fight starts. You control how you face it. You control whether you live or die. It's not about the fight anymore. It's about what you make of it. What you decide to do with the time they've given you. The noise grows and the gates creak open, but for a moment you stand still, staring at the sand, thinking about the man you once were, the life you once had, and the man you've become. You're a gladiator, yes, but you're also something more, something they can't take away. You hear the trainer's voice now, calling you forward, urging you to move, to step into the arena. The others have already gone. It's your turn. It's always your turn. And yet, for one brief moment, there's a sense of peace. A moment where the fear, the doubt, the constant struggle to survive, all of it fades away. What if this is the last time? You step forward, your feet heavy in the sand. The moment is fleeting, but it's real. This is your last chance to control the way you face the fight, to control how you die. You walk toward the arena, toward the roar of the crowd, and as you do, one question remains in your mind. Will this be the fight that finally ends you, or will you survive just to fight another day? But even in the face of that uncertainty, Cassius's words ring in your mind, a reminder that surviving isn't just about fighting, it's about remembering who you are beyond the sword. The clang of swords echoes through the ludus, a sound as familiar as the beat of your own heart. But today, the rhythm is different, slower, more deliberate. The air is thick with the scent of sweat and the faint tang of blood. Yet, despite the tension that hangs heavy in the space between strikes, there is a different presence today. He's here. The old man doesn't speak much, but when he does, his words cut deeper than any blade you've ever faced. His name is Cassius, a man whose scars tell stories older than the Empire itself. His body is battered, weathered by countless battles, but his eyes, they're sharp, keen, alive. They see more than just the fight. They see the man beneath the armor. They see the soul that's been buried by years of blood and violence. You've learned more from Cassius than from any other trainer in the ludus. While the others yell, push, and demand obedience through fear, Cassius teaches through silence, through the weight of his presence. He's not just shaping you into a better fighter. He's shaping you into something more, something beyond the gladiator's sword. "You're not just a killer," Cassius says one day, his voice gravelly, a stark contrast to the clang of swords around you. "You're a man first, and if you forget that, you'll lose yourself completely, and when that happens, there's no coming back." His words hang in the air like a bitter truth, one that settles deep in your gut. He's right, of course. It's easy to forget that you're a man when you're constantly trained to kill. It's easy to lose yourself in the endless cycle of violence. You've seen it happen to others. Gladiators who've become nothing more than walking weapons, their humanity stripped away until there's nothing left but the bloodlust. But not you. Cassius doesn't ask for your obedience the way the others do. Instead, he demands your attention, your reflection. He sees the cracks in your soul that you've been too afraid to look at. And somehow, he makes you want to face them. He's been there, in the arena. He's fought, bled, and survived. But unlike the others, Cassius hasn't lost himself. He knows what it means to survive with honor. That's something the ludus doesn't teach. That's something that the Empire doesn't care about. "You don't just fight for the crowd," he continues, his eyes narrowing as he watches you practice your strikes. "You fight for yourself, for your soul. If you don't, you'll be lost before the fight's even over." You pause, the weight of his words pressing down on you. It's hard to believe, hard to imagine that there's any part of you left to fight for. You've been broken down, shaped into a tool of the Empire. The life you once knew feels like a distant memory, a dream you'll never return to. But Cassius doesn't let you off the hook that easily. He never does. "You think you're nothing more than what they've made you, a beast to entertain the Empire," he says, his voice quiet but firm. "But that's not all you are. Don't let them define you. The moment you let them decide who you are, you're already dead." The words feel like a slap to the face. You flinch, not because you're hurt, but because something inside you stirs, something long buried, long forgotten. What if he's right? It's easier to be a weapon. It's easier to follow orders, to fight, to survive, and not think about what it costs you. But Cassius, he makes you wonder. He makes you question. "How do you survive?" you ask him one night, your voice low, filled with a mixture of frustration and disbelief. How do you keep going, knowing this is all there is? Knowing you're nothing more than a fighter in a game of death? Cassius looks at you, his expression unreadable. For a moment, there's a flicker of something. Regret, maybe, or nostalgia. He's been where you are now. He's seen it all. "You survive because you choose to," he says simply. "You survive because you're still a man. No matter what they do to you, no matter how many battles you fight or how much blood you spill, you can choose who you are. That's the one thing they can't take from you. Not yet." The words settle into you, sinking deep, and for the first time in a long time, you start to wonder if it's possible to keep some part of yourself intact. You look at Cassius, seeing the weight of his years in the way he carries himself, strong, stoic, yet with a sadness in his eyes that mirrors your own. He's survived, but he hasn't just survived physically. He's kept something more precious, something the Empire can't take from him. And maybe, just maybe, you can too. The fight today isn't just about survival. It's about remembering that you are still a man beneath the armor, beneath the bloodshed. You remember Cassius's words as you step into the arena, your sword ready, your mind clear. You fight for yourself. Cassius's wisdom may guide you, but the final choice lies in your hands. As you step into the arena, you know this fight isn't just for survival. It's for something deeper. The air smells of dust, sweat, and the faint metallic sting of blood that never quite leaves the Colosseum. The arena, once a place of cheers and excitement, now feels like the tomb it often is, a place where men are not made, but unmade, shattered by the will of the crowd, the emperor, and their own desperate desire to survive. Today is different. Today, you stand on the brink of death. The fight ahead, your final fight, hangs in the air like a storm cloud, dark and unrelenting. You can almost feel it pressing against your skin, the weight of the impending violence and the strange hollow calm that follows the realization that this could be the end. This could be the moment where everything, the years of training, the endless bloodshed, the constant survival, ends in the finality of a single strike. What is it all for? You look down at your hands, rough and scarred, the hands that have killed, that have survived, that have bled for the entertainment of others. But now, in the quiet before the storm, they feel strangely empty. The sword gripped tightly in your fingers is not just a weapon. It's a symbol of everything you've become, everything you've been forced to become. A gladiator, a fighter, a tool of the Empire's will. But is this it? Is this your legacy, your final mark on the world? The thought haunts you, like a shadow that lingers in the corners of your mind. Does it even matter? There's a voice inside you, quiet but insistent, that asks the questions you've pushed aside for so long. What is courage, really? Is it about standing tall in the face of death, knowing it could come for you at any moment? Or is it about doing what's necessary to survive, no matter the cost to your soul? What is loyalty, if all you've ever known is betrayal? Loyalty to the Empire? To the Emperor? To the crowd? Or is there something more? Something deeper? And then there's the final, unavoidable question that gnaws at the very core of your being. Does any of it have meaning? You stand at the edge of the arena, the distant sound of the crowd's cheers already filling your ears. It's not even a roar anymore. It's a dull hum, a constant reminder of your place in this world. They don't care if you live. They don't care if you die. All they want is the show, the blood, the drama, the spectacle. You are a character, a piece of meat to be thrown to the wolves, and you've always known this. But now, in this moment, with death so close, there's a strange clarity. You hear footsteps behind you, and a familiar voice calls your name. It's Cassius, your mentor, your guide through this hellish existence. His voice is calm, steady like it always is, but there's something different in it today, something more urgent, more knowing. "Ready for the last one?" he asks, his words thick with meaning. You turn to face him, the old man's weathered face a map of battles fought and survived. His eyes are sharp, filled with the kind of wisdom that comes from years of knowing what it means to live in this world of violence. He's seen it all. And yet, there's a tenderness in his gaze now, something that makes you wonder if even he believes there's a way out. Is there? Cassius steps forward, his hand resting briefly on your shoulder. Don't let them take everything from you. Don't let them make you believe that this is all there is. You've got more inside you than just what they've turned you into. His words are like a quiet defiance against the weight of the Empire, against the bloodshed that's been your life. Is he right? You think about the years of fighting, the men you've killed, the lives you've taken just to make it through another day. You've lived in the shadow of death so long you've forgotten what it feels like to truly live. The arena, the Colosseum, the Empire, they've stripped you of everything but your body. What's left? You step forward, your sword a weight you can't put down, but for the first time the weight of it doesn't feel like just a tool of survival. It feels like your choice. Cassius's voice follows you as you walk toward the gates. Fight for yourself, not for them. Don't let them decide your fate. The gates creak open and you're thrust into the blinding light of the arena. The crowd's roar crashes over you like a wave, but it's distant now. The Emperor's eyes are on you, as cold and calculating as ever, but you barely feel it. Because this time you're not just fighting for survival. You're fighting for meaning. You stand tall, your heart racing, the sweat already beginning to sting your eyes. But today there's something different. There's something inside you that refuses to die, something that fights back against the inevitable. You don't know if it will be enough. You don't know if you'll survive this fight. But you do know this: you won't go quietly. In the moments before the fight begins, the weight of your past and the flickering chance at freedom feel heavier than the sword you hold in your hand. The air in the Ludus is thick with anticipation. The clang of swords has become a background hum, a constant reminder of the life you've lived. But today is different. Today, there is a glimmer of something beyond the iron gates of the arena. something that feels like it might just be within your reach. Freedom. You've heard the whispers. You've seen the way the guards look at you now, the way they eye you with a mixture of suspicion and something else. Respect, maybe. The Emperor's men, they know you've fought for your survival for long enough. You've earned it, they say. They've seen it in the way you fight, the way you've mastered the arena, the way you've turned each fight into a performance. But freedom? What does that even mean anymore? You've survived, you've bled for it, killed for it, and yet, when the offer finally comes, when the door to freedom cracks open a sliver, you freeze. Is this really it? You can feel the weight of your decision like a heavy stone sitting in your chest. The walls of the ludus that once defined your world seem smaller now, as if they're closing in on you. The thought of freedom feels strange, like something you haven't earned, like something too good to be true. You've been here for so long. Can you even remember a life without the Colosseum? The Emperor has promised freedom to the victors of the last battle. A simple reward: survive one more fight, and you'll walk out of this hell. The crowds will cheer, the gates will open, and you'll be free. But even now, with the weight of the offer in your hands, there's a knot in your stomach. The past haunts you. The years of blood, the faces of the men you've killed, the faces of those who've fallen beside you. You're not the same man you were when you first entered this place. Can you even walk away from it? You glance at your fellow gladiators, your brothers in arms, each one caught in their own internal battle. Some of them look at you with envy, their eyes gleaming with the prospect of freedom. They want it, they crave it. But there's fear too, the fear that maybe, just maybe, freedom isn't everything it's cracked up to be. You're thinking about it too much, Sextus says, his voice breaking through your thoughts. He's standing next to you, a familiar presence in this strange moment of decision. His face is lined with years of battle, his body worn by countless fights, but his eyes, they're clear, sharp. You've earned it. No one here deserves it more than you. He's been your mentor, your guide through the maze of the ludus. But there's something in his voice now, something more uncertain than you've heard before. He's seen gladiators walk away, only to end up broken, lost in a world that's forgotten them. Is that the fate that awaits you? I don't know if I can do it, you admit, your voice barely a whisper. Can I really leave this behind? Can I walk out of here and forget everything? The blood, the arena, all of it. Sextus's eyes soften, and for the first time you see the weight of his own struggles reflected in his gaze. You don't leave it behind, he says quietly. You carry it with you. But that's the price of freedom. The past doesn't go away. But you don't have to stay here to keep fighting for it. His words settle deep within you, but they don't quite reach the center of your heart. You've been a gladiator for so long that freedom feels like a distant dream. The idea of walking away, of leaving behind everything that's defined you, is terrifying. What are you without the arena? The question lingers, hanging in the air between you and Sextus, unspoken but clear. What will you be without this life? You stare out into the distance, the gates of the ludus on the horizon, the world beyond it seeming impossibly far away. Is this your chance? The crowd's cheer sounds faint, a muffled roar that rises from the arena, beckoning you toward the final fight, toward the moment where the decision will be made. You can hear the Emperor's voice, the promise of freedom ringing in your ears, but somewhere beneath it all, there's the nagging thought, can I truly leave it all behind? Sextus pats you on the shoulder, his grip firm. You don't have to decide now, but when the time comes, remember, this is your life, no one else's. You nod, but inside you're still torn, still unsure. The weight of the choice is suffocating. What if the world outside isn't what you think? What if you don't belong there anymore? As the gate opens, the light of the arena floods in. The moment is here. The fight is in front of you. And yet, the real battle is inside, whether to fight for freedom or to keep fighting for survival. You take a step toward the arena, your heart pounding in your chest, the sword in your hand heavier than ever before. But in your mind, the question is still there, swirling, asking, is this the time to claim freedom, or is it just another fight to survive? But even with freedom at your fingertips, there's one more battle to fight, the one for meaning, for purpose, as you face what could be your final struggle. The arena is alive with the roars of the crowd, but today it feels different. The deafening cheers, the cries for blood, the heat of the sun beating down on your battered skin, it all feels like background noise. Today it's just you and the fight, and the weight of everything that's brought you here. Your feet sink into the sand, the texture rough and gritty beneath your boots as you step toward the center of the arena. Every step feels heavier now, the weight of the past pushing down on you like a boulder, each breath harder to take than the last. This is it, the final fight. You glance around, taking in the Colosseum one last time, the stone walls that have witnessed so many battles, so many deaths, the Emperor's box high above, where the eyes of the Empire are fixed on you. The crowd's roar swells in your ears, but it's nothing but static noise. What matters now is the fight. What matters now is the decision you'll have to make in the next few moments. You look at your opponent standing across from you, just another gladiator caught in the same game, but somehow it feels different today. The fire in his eyes is the same as yours, a fire that burns not just for survival, but for something more. What is it? Glory? Honor? Freedom? Or just the will to survive, no matter the cost? You raise your sword, feeling the familiar weight of it in your hand, but today the blade feels heavier than it ever has before. Every fight, every wound, every battle has led to this moment. Your heart beats louder, each pulse a reminder that this could be the end. And yet, you can't bring yourself to care. What does it all mean? The years of bloodshed, the people you've killed, the friends you've lost, the faces you've forgotten. Does it even matter now? Can one fight define your entire life? But in the silence that falls between you and your opponent, you realize something. You're not just fighting for survival anymore. This isn't just another battle. This isn't just another show for the Emperor or the bloodthirsty crowd. This is your final stand, the end of the line. And somehow, you've made peace with that. Do you ever wonder if it's worth it? The voice inside your head asks. The voice of doubt, the voice that has haunted you for as long as you can remember. It's been there through every fight, every victory, every loss. And now, in this final moment, it's louder than ever. Is it worth it? You're not sure. Maybe you never were. But there's no time to dwell on that now. The fight is about to begin, and the gates of the Colosseum swing open. You step forward, your sword raised, and your opponent does the same. The crowd's roar crescendos around you, but you don't hear them. You hear only the sound of your own heartbeat, each beat a reminder of your mortality. This could be your last breath, your last swing of the sword, your last moment of freedom. And yet, there's a strange calm in your chest. The fight begins, but it's not just about survival anymore. It's about proving something to yourself, to the Empire, to the man you've become. It's your final chance to matter. The first strike comes quickly. His sword clashes with yours, the sound sharp, like thunder breaking the silence. You parry, the movement automatic, muscle memory guiding your every step. But even as your body moves on its own, your mind races. Is this it? The fight flows, each move deliberate, each step carefully calculated. The sand beneath your feet feels heavier with each passing moment, each strike, each block. Why do they call it the arena? It feels more like a graveyard than a battleground, a place where you are nothing but a corpse waiting to happen. You strike again, your sword cutting through the air, finding its mark. The blood spills, staining the sand beneath your feet. You don't watch the face of your opponent. He's just another part of the game, another obstacle in your way. But even as you land the final blow, a strange emptiness settles in your chest. What does victory mean when all you've done is kill to survive? The crowd erupts, their voices rising to a deafening roar, but you don't hear them. You stand over your fallen opponent, your breath coming in ragged gasps. your body aching with the weight of the battle, but you feel no triumph. You feel only the quiet pull of death, waiting just beyond the arena's gates, just beyond this fleeting moment of victory. The Emperor's eyes are on you, but you barely feel them. You've won, but what is there to win? The freedom they promised you feels hollow. The glory they offered you feels meaningless. Is this all there is? You step back, your sword still in your hand, and for the first time in a long while, you allow yourself to breathe. You've made it through. But what does that even mean anymore? You've survived. But is survival enough? Victory feels hollow, and the weight of your past, the memories of battles fought and men lost, is a burden you cannot shake. The sand may be wiped clean, but the wounds within remain. The weight of the armour has long since been discarded, the blood still fresh on your body. Yet it feels like a memory now, the fight, the struggle, the victory that was promised. It should feel different. It should feel like a triumph, like something to be proud of. But instead, there's only the crushing weight of your own body dragging you back toward the shadows. You limp through the narrow halls of the Ludus, the sounds of the Colosseum still echoing in your mind, but fading with each step you take away from the arena. The cheers of the crowd, the Emperor's approving nod, the adulation from the masses, they all feel distant now, as if they belong to someone else. Someone else, not you. Your body aches. Every muscle ached from the battle, every bruise a reminder of what you've endured to get here. But it's not the physical pain that cuts the deepest. It's the emptiness, the hollow feeling inside that no amount of bloodshed or victory can fill. The questions you can't escape. Was it worth it? You've won, yes. You've earned the title, the freedom, the promise of a life beyond the arena. But even as you walk away from the sands where you spilled your blood and the Emperor's coins rained down, the question lingers. The question that has haunted you for years. But now it burns more than ever. The wounds on your body will heal. The cuts, the bruises, the scars, they're temporary. They will fade. The bones that have been shattered, the ribs that have been cracked, they'll knit back together, given time. But the wounds you can't see, the ones that run deeper, they will never heal. You stop at the doorway to your cell. The cold stone walls are a reminder of everything that's been stripped from you. The air feels thinner, the silence more oppressive. You can hear the sound of your own breath shaky and uneven, and for a brief moment, you wonder if you'll ever find peace again. What's the point of it all? You've fought for years, bled for years, only to walk away with a body that's barely holding together and a mind that's broken by the endless cycle of violence. They told you that the final fight would bring you freedom, but now that you've earned it, it feels empty. You have the freedom to leave the arena, but what do you have left to live for? You sit on the cold stone floor of your cell, leaning against the wall, the weight of everything crashing down on you. You survived. But was it worth it? Was all the pain, the blood, the years of fighting just to keep your head above water worth this? What did you win? A life of freedom, yes. But what kind of life is it when you've been forged in the crucible of endless death? What kind of life is it when you've killed so many? When you've witnessed so much that the world outside the arena feels like a distant dream? You glance at your hands, the same hands that have killed, that have survived. They are rough, scarred, tools of destruction. But now, in this quiet, empty room, they feel almost alien. Who are you, really? A gladiator? A survivor? Or just a man who has spent too long fighting, with nothing left to fight for? You close your eyes, letting the silence fill you, trying to ignore the ache in your chest, the gnawing emptiness that comes from surviving a world that has chewed you up and spit you out. You want to sleep, to forget, to numb yourself to the endless questions. But the questions remain. Was it worth it? Your mind drifts back to the arena, to the final blow that ended it all, to the roar of the crowd that faded in the distance. For a brief moment, you can still feel the weight of the sword in your hand, the pressure of the final strike. It should have felt like victory, but it didn't. You open your eyes again, staring at the walls of your cell. The blood on your body may fade, the bruises will heal, but what's left? Will you ever feel whole again? The door to the cell creaks open. A guard steps in, his eyes briefly flickering toward you. But there's no judgment in his gaze, no curiosity. He's just another face in a sea of faces that have come and gone. Just another man who has seen it all before. "You've got your freedom," he says flatly. "The Emperor's orders." His words hang in the air, but they feel distant, detached. Freedom. You stand slowly, your body protesting, but you force yourself to move. The world outside the ludus is waiting for you, they say. The crowds are waiting, the Empire's promise is waiting. But even as you step through the door, as you take your first steps out of the prison you've called home for so long, you wonder, is freedom really what you thought it would be? You step out into the sunlight, the first time in years that you've truly seen the sky without the shadow of the Colosseum hanging over it. The air is different, fresher. You should feel alive, shouldn't you? But all you feel is the weight of the silence. You walk away, but the questions remain, whispering in your mind like a persistent echo. What was it all for? The world outside the Colosseum is strange, a place where the bloodshed of the past feels far away, yet the ghosts of the arena haunt every step you take in this new world. The streets of Rome are alive with the hustle and bustle of a world that hasn't noticed or cared about you for years. The scent of food, the murmur of conversation, the laughter of children, sounds that once felt like distant echoes now feel oddly foreign. You walk through them, your eyes scanning the faces of those who pass by without a second thought, without the burden of a sword or the weight of a life taken. They are free. But you're free too. Or are you? The days since the final battle have blurred together, a hazy line between the Colosseum's blood-stained sands and the outside world that no longer feels like it belongs to you. You've earned your freedom, yes, but no one told you that freedom would come with such a heavy price. They never warned you that the emptiness you thought you'd escape would be the one thing that followed you into the streets, into the city that feels as alien to you now as the arena once did. You've walked away from the crowds, the Emperor's cold gaze, the jeering masses. You've walked away from everything. But what is left? The weight of your scars feels heavier now, the ones they can't see, the ones that run deeper than flesh and bone. The years of fighting, the faces of the men you killed, the faces of your brothers who never made it out. It all lingers, a shadow you can't shake off. You try to focus on the sound of the street, the murmur of life around you, but it's almost too much, too loud, too bright. Everything seems too normal. You stop for a moment, leaning against a wall, your breath coming in short bursts, your chest tight with something you can't name. Peace? Is that what this is supposed to be? You were never taught how to live without the constant hum of danger in your ears, the weight of the fight pressing on you, the threat of death always hanging in the air. But now the silence is deafening. You move through the crowds, avoiding the eyes of others, as if they might see through you, see the scars that are hidden under your skin, the ones that still bleed even if they don't show. How do you explain what you've been through to someone who's never felt the grip of a sword in their hand, never heard the roar of the crowd, never faced death over and over again? How do you explain to them that you are still dying inside? You've been given the freedom to walk away from the arena, to leave the life of a gladiator behind. But they never told you that walking away would be harder than walking into the arena in the first place. They never told you how empty the world would feel once you've spent so many years learning how to survive by killing. They never told you that when the blood stops flowing, when the fights end, there is no one left to fight for. You stop at a small tavern, one of the few places that looks familiar in this strange world. The warmth from the fire inside spills out into the night, but it doesn't reach you. You walk in, your eyes scanning the room, seeing faces that are so foreign to you, so alive, so full of things you can't name. A man at the bar raises his mug in greeting, but you don't join him. The smiles, the conversation, they seem distant, like a language you no longer understand. You order a drink, and the taste of it, the warmth in your chest, is a small comfort. But is that enough? You think about your old life, the fights, the blood, the camaraderie with your fellow gladiators, who are now nothing more than ghosts in your memory. You wonder where they are now, the ones who survived, the ones who died. What does it mean to live after you've learned nothing but survival? Your drink is empty, and you stand up, the noise of the tavern buzzing in your ears. But it's too much. The world outside the Colosseum is too bright, too full of life, too ordinary. How do you go from being a man whose every step is determined by the whim of the emperor to a man who has to choose what comes next? You walk back into the streets, your mind racing. It's quiet now. The city feels quieter, even though it's the same as it was before. The question lingers, haunting you like a shadow in the corners of your mind. What do you do when you no longer know how to live? You are trained to fight, to survive. But what happens when there's nothing left to fight for? You stop by a small park, a place where children play, and the world seems to move on, as if nothing ever happened. They run past you, laughing, unaware of the man standing there in the shadows, a man who's walked through death and come out the other side, but who now feels as if he's standing on the edge of an abyss. You watch them for a moment, the innocence in their play, the carefree joy that seems so distant to you. What would it be like to live like them? You turn away, your footsteps taking you further into the city, but you don't know where you're going. You've won your freedom, yes. But what is freedom without peace? What is freedom without a place to belong? The questions echo inside your mind, and you realize, in that moment, that the battle hasn't ended. Not for you. The fight for peace, the fight for a life beyond the arena, is only just beginning. In the quiet of the city streets, amidst the hustle and bustle of normal life, you realize the true battle may not be for survival, but for the story you leave behind. The Colosseum stands silent now, its walls weathered by time, its echoes of glory and death fading into the past. The sand that once soaked in blood, the very ground that bore witness to countless battles, is now empty. The emperor's box is deserted, the cries of the crowd long silenced, and the only sound left is the wind, sweeping across the arena's cold, lifeless floor. But the sand still remembers. The stories of those who fought, bled, and died within its boundaries live on, carried by the whispers of the wind, the quiet murmur of the past. And among those stories, among the thousands of faces that rose and fell beneath the shadow of the empire, yours is one that has been lost to time. Will anyone ever remember? You, the gladiator whose name was forgotten long before his body was. You, who fought for survival, who clawed through the arena's endless battles, only to be cast aside, like so many before you, to fade into the dust. Does it matter? The truth is, it's not the names that live on. It's the stories, the moments, the blood in the sand, the courage that was shown even in the face of death. You never asked to be remembered, but maybe it didn't matter, because in a way, you are remembered. The arena, the sand, it holds every drop of blood spilled, every life lost. The stories of those who came before and after you are written in every grain of dust that will remain long after the empire crumbles. What is immortality, really? Is it a name carved into stone, a legacy that lives on in the mouths of the storytellers? Or is it something more, a mark left in the hearts of those who remember your struggle, even if they never knew your name? The thought lingers in your mind as you sit on the cold stone floor, looking out over the arena that once defined your existence. The weight of your past hangs heavy, but there is peace in the silence. You have fought your last fight, and now all that remains is the memory of it. You wonder, briefly, if anyone remembers your face, the scars that marked you, the sweat and blood that stained your skin, the sweat that ran down your brow as you fought for survival, for honor, for a fleeting taste of freedom. Does it matter? You were a gladiator, a warrior, an entertainer in the eyes of the Empire. But you were also a man who fought not just for survival, but for something deeper, something that went beyond the arena. And that is the part of you that lives on. You don't need a name to be remembered. The arena's sands have kept the memory of every man who ever fought here. The crowd may have cheered for your blood, but they also cheered for your courage, for the way you stood tall, even when the world demanded you fall. In a way, the arena was never just a place to die. It was a place to live, if only for a moment. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the arena. The cold stone of the Colosseum looms like a giant, but in the fading light, it feels like a monument to the past. And in that past, there's a part of you that will never fade, a part of you that remains in the arena, in the sand, in the stories that were born here. Perhaps your name will never be remembered. Perhaps you'll fade into the shadows of history, just another forgotten gladiator, another footnote in the Empire's bloody story. But in the sands of the Colosseum, in the echoes of the crowd, in the hearts of those who saw you fight, you live on. And that, in its own way, is immortality.